beautiful muses, and welcome to this new reading. I'm really excited about this one. I think it's going to be fun and kind of kick off a new chapter, hopefully, for everybody. I've definitely been feeling this collective energy coming through around the star card in the tarot, sort of this new hope, a new vision for the future. I think there's so many pressures in the world right now that we're all sort of have some pressure on us that is getting us to look ahead with purpose and meaning and where we really want the world and our lives to go. And I'm feeling like a lot of people are starting to see something new, starting to, under that pressure, starting to recognize that a new journey is needing to be had in order to develop something new within and hence something new in the world, a different vision of the future, a different paradigm ready to come through. And I feel like, I just feel it in the air. Sometimes these conflicts and stresses in the outer world are what we need, a little kick in the pants to start thinking about the future differently and kind of sparking a different type of journey in us. So I've picked 5 different tarot decks that I picked these decks specifically because they each have some kind of connection to a really interesting type of journey. So this one, we've got the Wildwood Tarot and the Carnelian stone. This is pile 1. And this deck really connects with like Celtic paganism, and it's a bit of a journey into the forest. And then here, this star card in pile 2 and the opal. We've got the star card from a deck inspired by the movie The Labyrinth. So this is a little bit of a journey into some kind of labyrinth for a very specific target. So this would be something like where maybe you already have an idea of what you're trying to get to, and there's a lot of mental gymnastics and trickery and interesting things that pushes on you to really cultivate a dynamic kind of mind to navigate certain difficulties and push something unique and cool through. Pile 3, we have the Herbcrafter's Tarot with Pyrite. And this is sort of a journey into the earth matter, the world of plants, which is very communicative and holds a lot of both healing medicines and poisons. So each of these has their, because it's representing a journey, so it has its challenges and its beauties, so that's why I'm pointing out some things that are, every pile has it, to go on a journey, to have that new hope that spurs us onto a new journey. We have to, always go through a threshold that's going to hold all sorts of things that are both gifts and challenges. Pile 4, we've got the Transparent Tarot with a Sunstone. And this one is, I love this Transparent Tarot deck for storytelling. I'm kind of thinking of this as like the deck of exploring consciousness, because you can lay out all the cards on a white surface and read them how you would any other tarot, but then you can start to stack them in different ways, and they kind of create different, more dynamic, sort of like seen through a kaleidoscope. If you look at it one way, you're seeing a certain pattern, and if you flip it over or layer it, or you get to see different angles and different perspectives. So it's like kind of I feel like the new age and consciousness, new hope and journey. And then pile 5 right here, we have the Orien's Animal Tarot with a crystal quartz. And so this is entering into the magnificent world of animals, where so much about us and the world, and you know what, I see animals so often as messengers from the angels and the gods. So this is like a very spiritual type of journey or pile. And so it's, you know, likely there's going to be something about developing an eye for synchronicity and messages, and, you know, communing with things a little more unseen, but that are mirrored to us through things like the animals. So you may pick your pile based on kind of the tarot I've described. If none of those really pop out as distinctly your pile, you might use the stones, or I can now lead you through a little bit of breath work, and after that you can press pause and just sort of shut out any of the information about the piles I've given, and just kind of feel into which pile is drawing you in, which one has sort of a magnetic force for you. Okay, so take a deep breath in and hold it at the top, closing your eyes down and focusing that breath in between your brows at the third eye, and then a big out loud exhale with an ah to open the crown chakra. And I suggest doing a few of those, so pausing here and taking a few of those breaths, and take whatever time you need here to feel into which pile is calling you, which journey, which new hope, which vision of the future, and see what your pile, what the journey within your pile holds for you. All right, I will see you guys in your pile, and timestamps will be below in descriptions, so you can press there to go to your journey. All right. Hello, Pile 1, and welcome to your reading all about what sort of new hope, new vision for your future are you seeing? Hence, what kind of journey is that going to spark and send you on? So for you guys, you picked the Star card from the Wildwood Tarot, as well as the Carnelian stone. So these two things together really make me feel like this is the pile filled, you know, not everyone, but I would think primarily with sort of artists, creators, imaginers, dreamers. So this is all about some kind of new creative vision that really is generated from an inner world filled with imagination. And at this moment, even though you're feeling a new spark, a new potential, a new vision for your future, it's kind of one of those things where you don't see maybe a lot of the details about it. It's like you see the big picture, but you don't maybe quite know what you need to do there, where to start, how to get there. So it's sort of like fixing in on, because this card has the pole star specifically as its star card, and so it's sort of picking a fixed object in the sky to help you navigate through a forest where you can't really see what's coming up next. And symbolically, a journey through a forest is sort of a journey inward into the inner terrain, and into all the different shadows and you know, any story, any movie, any book you read where there's this deep into the forest kind of feel, you encounter lots of kind of mystical, enchanting things, and it's sometimes hard to know what's dangerous and what's on our side and there to help us. So it's by being really fixed on your target, on this big picture dream that you have that's, you know, creative and imaginative, that will help you to navigate through this terrain. So really, really exciting, and kind of fun. And I really hope that this creative, imaginative journey is just one that helps you see a whole new potentiality within yourself, because in the cards of this journey, there are some very powerful things happening. So we're going to do some tarot from this deck after we go through the oracle cards, but the oracle cards I've picked kind of go through, generally, I'm not going into every single step, but like a hero's type journey in a way. So these two cards right here are indicating sort of not looking at the happenings of this journey, but if this were a movie that you watched and afterwards someone asked, what was this movie about? You might say it's, so this is sort of the theme of what this journey is going to feel like once you've gone through it. So you might say, well, this was about redemption, or this was a movie or a story about coming of age, you know, that type of bigger picture theme. So here we've got the cards power, as well as movement and speed. So I feel like this is an empowerment theme. This is a journey where you are going to be up against great powers, but also one where you are going to recognize and have to confront and you know, there may be some blind spots or resistances within you to understanding the power you wield, and so it's only by coming up against other great powers that you know, and sometimes if we are or have very powerful things within us or about us, that can be a kind of a terrifying thing to pull out, because power's scary, even if it's our power. So I think that they're in this journey that's being sparked by this new creative envisionment and hope. I think you're going to come up against some very powerful circumstances, events, people, places that are going to make you finally pull out this power that's within you, acknowledge it, and start to recognize it and define it and use it and wield it, you know. So that's exciting and terrifying. And then at the same time, there's this movement and speed card. So I think this huge inner journey, navigating our inner terrain and imagination and enchantment and creativity, I think part of the theme is going to also be figuring out how to take what's within you and to move it, kind of anchor it into the 3D world and move it, network it, create some animation and motion and connection in the outer world. And we see that she's navigating, kind of speeding over or through a cityscape. So I think that there's some commerce, there's some business, there's something that you're going to learn here about how to make your creations or creation, whatever this is. It might be just creation in general, a creative ability, or it might be a specific creation. How to not just anchor it into your life in the world, but how to put some electricity behind it. There's sort of these electrical kind of currents coming off of her. How to create some buzz with this, how to get into the chatter and the movement and the the buzz of city and commerce and communications, communities, how to put it out in the world and get it to travel and get it to go viral in a I guess is actually what this feels like, how to make this go viral. So there's something about you having to come up against power, hence recognize your own power, and then how to take the power of this, that you're learning, that you wield, and be daring enough to put it into the world and let it move. So there may be, when we come from a place of something deep within that we've channeled, it can be a really, really scary thing to allow that to go out into the world, because then people are allowed to put their own interpretations and judgments and critiques and opinions and manipulations on it, on this very, very deep personal thing. So that's also something that you're going to need to learn, what kind of power you wield, to know how to put things in the right hands and put the right communications and people and narratives around what you're doing, how you can have some power over how this goes viral. Super cool. So these two cards are going to represent, like, what is the central conflict? What is the thing that kind of tips this from just a new vision, a new hope, into actually being forced onto this journey? And so the conflict I'm seeing here with the Temple and Gnosis is that whatever this creative vision you have, imaginative vision you have is, I think, and this, theme of needing to find your power with it and knowing how to move it in the world, I feel like you, at this point, feel like, or have already been told, that to take your new vision from deep within, from that very deep personal realm, out into the world to be powerful, that there's like a certain status, a certain knowledge base, like a gentleman's club, a temple, I don't know, anywhere where there's sort of, the speakeasy, wherever there's a place where there's like a password or a certain membership or a certain status in order to enjoy the luxuries of what you're looking for, are very, very hard to get into. And in this journey, and in this case, you may feel it as a negative force, and one you don't quite know or feel like you'll ever belong to. But there's some kind of conflict going on here of feeling worthy of your creations and your imaginations being accepted and moved and felt for their power in the world. Like, you don't have the status, you don't have the password, you don't have the access to be able to do that. And you may have already been told this. Like, when, I'll use just an example. Maybe you have a book you've written and you've sent it to agents and managers, and everyone's just turning you down. Like, you don't have access to the temple that can help you do this. And so you have to start out on the little man, the David and Goliath story of like, okay, well, maybe I need to self-publish, maybe I just need to do this my own way. and it's still just like you're bumping up into resistance, or just like something's not working here. But there's something that sparks this need to have access to something that will move your creation into the world. And so this is the central conflict. How do I move my creation into the world? Because I don't have access right now. And so how do I get the access I need? And one thing I would say about this, and with the gnosis around it too, is like some secret information or some level of knowledge. It's like a little bit snooty to me. And it's like not, either people telling you or you just assuming you're not up to snuff here. You don't have the secret wisdom or the depth of knowledge, and you don't have the sacredness around this. And what I would say about this is it's not so much, what you need to realize, it's not so much about getting into this temple, this agent, this manager, this publisher, this club, whatever it is. Stop fixating. This journey will go much more smoothly for you if you stop, I don't want to say stop, if you turn this conflict into you treating your creations and your imaginations as sacred, and creating practices and rituals and honorings around the things you do that have to do with this new vision. You can make this its own temple. You can make this sacred. You can make this have its own sort of wisdom and sacred knowledge base and secret knowledge base for what it is. And then all of a sudden you are the temple, and people are trying to get into your temple. Managers are knocking at your door, publishers are knocking at your door, or suddenly the doors just open to the ones that, these access points you want. But I think a lot about this journey is creating a sacredness and an honoring, and in a ritualistic, daily, practiced way around your creation and imagination, whatever this new vision is to you. And this central conflict will be a little bit eased through that kind of wisdom of, and it doesn't necessarily make it completely, we have to have that central conflict to drive us, to push us, to spur us on. So even by doing that, I think even doing that for yourself is going to be a journey in itself. And even if you make your own creation and imagination and a temple that attracts others, that can create conflicts in itself of so generally the conflict here is about who has access to what, whether people are looking for access to things you've made sacred and your sacred kind of secret wisdom and knowledge and the sacredness you've created around something. Or you trying to get into places that feel like this, getting access there in order to be out in the world. But there's a conflict here, whichever way it goes. But I would suggest making your own thing sacred in itself, a temple within itself. And you're just going to have more leverage and power by doing that, instead of trying to force your way into something that's not wanting to let you in right now. So moving on down here, we've got the guide that you should be looking for. So in these heroes' journeys, there's always a guide that has certain wisdom and spiritual insights to offer you. So you've got green Tara, start delegating. Ask others, including me, to help you instead of trying to do everything by yourself. So this is about, you have on this journey that's being started, you have some spiritual angels on your side that anytime you feel overwhelmed or you don't quite know what the next step is, or there are maybe other things on your plate you're needing to get off of your plate in order to focus on this better, channel that Green Tara. Ask out loud for Green Tara's help. Say, I need help, Green Tara, and say specifically with what, and watch in the coming days for help to arrive and be very receptive to it, because she's offering for this journey helping hands. She's offering angelic hands to come in and navigate things that will magically appear to lift things off of your shoulder in order for you to focus where you need to focus, and in order to help you get where you need to go. So that's an amazing special guide you've got there. Okay, and then the allies you should look for: new groups, new people, new comrades coming in that have your back, that are on your side, that see your potential and want the best for you, and vice versa. You know what kind of pack and group is coming in from this, and you've got hummingbird energy around this, which is, I mean, so beautiful. The hummingbird, for how tiny it is such a powerful animal. So the allies that you bring to you, they may initially appear insignificant or light but fun, but not like you would never imagine underneath the surface what kind of connections and power these allies have. So look for very joyous, very lighthearted, very heart-centered people who lift your spirits up. These are your allies. And what's going to surprise you, because hummingbirds, they can travel, I can't exactly remember the statistic with this, but it's like the farthest of any bird or something in a certain, like in a day. They can travel very, very, very far in their teeny little bodies very quickly. And they can move. They're very dynamic. They can move backwards, forwards, up, down, like they're very dynamic in their movement. So they're incredibly connected. They move with a speed and a power that is shocking for how small they are. So look for people who lift you up, that feel light, that bring joy to your heart, that are fun, and be surprised by the movement and power and connections they have underneath this seemingly lightweightness. So really cool allies coming in for this journey for you guys. The enemies card, and I don't want to, when you watch a movie, there's such literal enemies. In real life, it's not always that clear, but this would be sort of like the opposing force kind of felt, the outgroup types of people that would hold a certain opposing force to you. So it may have to do around people you feel hold access to certain things that they're not giving you access to. But things to look out for, things that people that symbolize this type of opposition force, you'll recognize them through the feeling of mentors. So initially, mentors can be an amazing gift, but for you on this journey, You need to not let mentors get too deep into your psyche or your life or any sort of control over you, because in this case, I'm going to read the shadow attribute since this is coming up with sort of the opposing force energy. So the inability to allow the student to move on to the role of master, imparting false instruction. So to me, this is saying you may still feel like you're a student in whatever's going on here. But you are not. You're ready to move on. And there's some sort of opposing force in your life, and it could even just be your own mentality that's your enemy here, or it could be literal mentors or teachers that, you know, I wouldn't say that these are like evil people or forces, but you need to start believing in your own power and your own ability to move your imaginations and creations into the world. They're ready, but something about you or some others in your life may be feeding you a narrative that you're not ready and you need more training and you need more this or more that or more wisdom and knowledge, and in order to get into, you know, the access you need, the sacred place, access to the sacred things and tools and people you need to move your creations into, the bigger world of commerce. But it's just not true. You're past being mentored. You're ready to, you know, whether you're a master yet, I think this journey is leading you toward that, but you're certainly past needing mentorship and more learning and more classes. It's time for you, like your allies, to move quickly, to start connecting things, to start believing in the joy in your heart and the creativity and imagination and richness of depth of sacred wisdom you already hold. You already contain this. You just have to create practice around it to believe it, to anchor it. Okay, so moving to the next card. This is the Priestesses of Light, and this is sort of in the hero's journey. There's always a point. It's sort of called the belly of the whale. It's when we're at our kind of lowest point within this journey, where we are in a somewhat impossible feeling position. And that sort of, you know, when we watch movies or the books or, you know, stories, it's always exaggerated a lot. So what in real life this might feel like is you are far enough into this journey that there's no turning back. At the same time, there's a huge mountain in front of you. So you feel the weight of this journey on your shoulders and this feeling of like, I don't think I can do it. I don't think I have it in me. Kind of this wanting to give up, but there's something about this moment where you can't. There's usually a circumstance around this where you're forced to need to do something for whatever reason. You know, like in Star Wars, the original first one that came out is when they're in that like trash compactor on the Rebel Force, or the not the Rebel Force, the you know, Darth Vader's ship, or the, I don't actually, was it, anyway, the, you know, the enemy's ship, and they're in the trash compactor and they're in it, you know. Luke is now firmly in this journey and they're at a very low point, and he's realizing how real this is and how deep he is into it. And it's at this point where you have to start to turn to your intuition, and all of the sudden qualities that you already possess but you don't see until you are forced in a really strong way to look within and to pull something deep within out of you and recognize, like, it's being in a position where you have to act in a way that pulls a resource out of you that you did not know you contained. and it shocks you. It empowers you, it shocks you. So it's getting out of a sticky situation because you have to. There's no other choice. And so for you, this point in this journey is card 10 in the Priestesses of Light, sacred breath and sound, life force, communication. So there is a vitality and a power of communication within this creative thing you're doing, within you, within how you, whether it's within the creation and the imagination you have, or the way in which you put yourself and your creation out into the world. There is a vitality around this and a connectivity around this that is glowing, pleasing, just enchanting. I mean, I love seeing the dolphin here, and the number 10 is like creation amplified, the 1 amplified by a 0. There's, yeah, the dolphins are such a communicative, joyful, healing type of animal, and that, you know, there is a life force that you have within you that is going to be pulled out during some kind of crisis when you feel a bit at the lowest. That, like, maybe you're really scared to put yourself out into the world, and you spend all your time trying to find the right people or the traditional ways to do this, and it's not working, and some scenario comes along where it's either now or never that you put this creation somewhere, and so you just have to do it, but in a way that is, you know, authentic and has integrity to what you're doing and who you are. And you do it, and you recognize this fear, this block you've had from putting things out. It was based on some block you had to recognizing how powerful and sacred your words, your communication, and your life force are. You know how to make your stuff a temple, and once you create a sacredness around your creation and imagination, it's like you have to use the power of your life force and the power of breath and the power of communication to dare to put something out in a big way. And it's reflected back to you in this, just how the power and the speed that you're capable of, but it's almost like you have to get to a point where you're forced to do it. Okay, so moving to the last cards. The end of a hero's journey, there's always like a final just treacherous challenge, and then a resurrection where you're kind of reborn into the master of this journey. You've kind of mastered this journey. So the impending, most difficult challenge coming at the end before you really step into your power and your ability to create movement and speed around what you put out is something about improbability. And I love this as connected to your pole star. Like I said at the beginning, there is a specific grand wish that doesn't have an on-ground navigation. You have to look to the sky to follow this star, to follow this ideal, to follow this wish, this new vision, this new hope. And it's big, and I don't want you guys to deny this. Whatever it is big, and I think you're going to go through ups and downs of how powerful and how big you actually are, and you're going to come to that last challenge of this all you already knew improbable thing. But it can, you know, when we have that first new spark of something, we can be a little bit naive and blind to the challenges. But once you've gone through all the ups and downs, you see how at this point, this final challenge, you see how improbable reaching this new hope and vision is. But you have to keep your integrity to it. And you have to shoot for the impossibility, the improbability. But you know the target you have from the very beginning. And at this point, you've navigated sort of through the forest. You know the terrain, but that star is still unreachable. So you have to shoot an arrow at it. You have to do a Hail Mary. And yeah, it's your final challenge, and the death and resurrection that happens, how you're reborn by doing that, whatever it hits, is a certain vitality. So with this healer, I actually am really connecting, because of this physical vitality card, to the Kundalini energy of the snakes. You come alive. You recognize you've healed something by the end of this journey, and you recognize the vitality, the energy, the healing capability you have. Physically, you viscerally feel this, and you know that life force and that physical strength and that I mean, here we even have life force in this card. It says life force. I think you get a peek at it at this point, but when you resurrect, when you rebirth after a final challenge, this arrow is going to land, you know, on something great, on something grand, on the temple that you need access to move your creation forward. Whether it is the literal pole star you were shooting for or one right next to it, it's still an improbable shot made. Oftentimes it's not what we always intended from the very start, but something maybe even better. You know, maybe the star you end up hitting, it could be your pole star for some of you, but it might be one that's right next door. And the minute you hit it, you realize that's where my life force lives. That was always the correct star. That was always the vision. I just needed to resurrect in terms of believing my power and speed to know what my impossible shot was. Because maybe it's an even more impossible, more grand vision that you, or, you know, shot you take at this point that you didn't even know how to envision at the start. So, yeah, gorgeous, gorgeous journey. Okay, we are going to do just a few tarot cards to get, I don't know, just like a little bit more context, types of little, you know, smaller details. What's in the forest? What are kind of some of the more specific things you're going to come up against? People, events, feelings. So, okay, I'm just going to pick, I think, 6 cards. Okay, so 3 of stones, 2 of stones. Okay, 9 of bows, respect. Yeah, so something here, something within your need to find your power, to find your ability to put things in the world in a way that they, you know, take off, are absorbed by the world at large. There is a need within that deep place you know, I think that you already have a deep respect for your creative abilities and your imagination, but you don't know how to get respect for it because you've never taken a journey that's forced you to put it out in such a way that demands respect. And so a lot of this theme of finding your power and finding your ability to put things out into the movement of the world is about getting your respect reflected back to you, because you have a deep respect for something within you and you need to see that reflected back to you. And so by doing this, by putting yourself out there, and that might be just a really, you know, it is a very scary thing to put ourselves into the world, to allow the world to see what's so deep within us. But it's by taking this step that you change the cycle of your life in a huge way. And this 10 card, we also have that 10 with the priestesses of light. So there is an amplification of your creative energy that takes place by being willing to put what you respect about your imagination and creativity out into the world. You change your fate by doing this. It's not going to be without its challenges, though. This balance card, you're going to go to the extremes, the extreme light and the extreme dark. This journey is going to have some high highs and some low lows, I believe. But by doing this, by going on this journey that like really exposes you, really exposes you, it's going to feel vulnerable. You learn how to be the most resilient but also tempered sort of person. And I think that you find allies and conflict on a wide spectrum of areas. And so you come out of this journey with an immense amount of experience under your belt, an immense amount of connections, experience, and wisdom gained because you've allowed yourself to experience putting the deepest things within your heart into the world. And then we've got the stag, number 8, which I believe this is about this. I think it's connected to the strength card, but I'm just going to really use the images instead of traditional tarot because this deck is not also super aligned to traditional tarot. Anyway, the stag, to me, the stag is absolutely about, it's sort of, I always think of more masculine strength with the stag and its antlers. Like it's very grounded. It knows its migration paths, but it has these strong antennae that are also very spiritual. So it's such a strong channel of deeply knowing its terrain, how to make things sacred, the land it uses, the land it passes. There's a sacredness it gives it because it knows its land, but its antennas are up for all the messages. So this is an absolute channel. And to me, this is saying there's a strength coming from the angelic realms trying to help guide you, trying to help you to understand your path through the forest. So keep those antennae up and really find the beauty of the enchantment of all of the twists and turns that you're, and that's going back to this balance card. That is totally reflected what I originally said about going through the forest. You don't always know what to trust, who to trust, where you're going, and you learn with such a having to use your intuition so deeply, how to trust those feelings within you of what to trust. And this stag, by trusting that your heart and your gut and your intuition so deeply about things that are hard to read, you grow these antennas and you grow this connection to the land. and you suddenly develop this strength of knowing where to get the right information you need about what to trust and where to go and how to stand your ground. And yeah, it's beautiful. You sort of, transform into the stag. And then we've got 3 of Stones, creativity, which is so beautiful. I'm just looking at this woman. This is such a different interpretation from a normal 3 of like Pentacles. This is sort of like being able to harmonize your creativity with things that are ancient. And I'm so sorry if you can hear my dog snoring so loud next to me. But it's like, how to grow your roots into and channel up through the strength of things that are ancient, through the building and creativity that has come from times before. Oh my gosh. My dog is snoring so loud. I'm sorry, you guys. So yeah, that just makes me also just feel like there's like a comfort here. So a deep leaning into knowing your creativity and knowing how it aligns and connects and channels and morphs into and blends into and harmonizes. Just, as soon as you grow your strength out of trusting yourself through really hard to read things, it's just like all of a sudden you become creativity. You don't just channel creativity and work on creativity, and you become the master. At this point, there's a point in this journey where without a doubt that you are a master now. You have mastered your particular creative genius, and you recognize suddenly that you don't need permission and access, and you don't need mentors that aren't letting you move on. You become your creativity, and that can't be learned. And then the final card here, 2 of Stones, challenge. I actually see this as kind of fun, like a debate. Like you come out of this knowing your strength, knowing your ability to go toe to toe, head to head with the best of the best. And it's almost like a fun kind of competition. You know that you can access any temple, you can create any temple, you can stand up to anyone of respect in the field that you're kind of pushing into here. And go toe to toe, and it's sort of fun. It pushes, you come into this place where you know who your competitors are, but you push each other in like a fun way. You push each other to be better. You push the boundaries of the industry in general, of what's put out into the world in this imaginative or creative realm, or whatever it is for you. If for some of you, it may not be in the creative realm, but whatever this is about to you, it's, you're going to end this sort of having fun with knowing you're competing with the best of the best, but you guys are having fun with that because it pushes each other's boundaries and the boundaries of what you're a part of. So beautiful reading. The last thing I'm going to end on, gotta find where I put those cards. Here they are. I'm going to draw a plant card that shows or give some advice about understanding when you're working through this journey through a place of balance or imbalance. What kind of signs will show up when you're imbalanced, so kind of like off kilter in your journey, and when you are in balance, other types of things will show up. Okay, so for you, we've got sage. So patterns of balance. So when you know that you're, whether you're in an up or down swing, you know that you're in a balanced place. If your wisdom derived from life experience, ability to access and understand life processes from a higher perspective, from the star. And then when your patterns of when you're not in balance, seeing life as ill-fated or undeserved, inability to perceive higher purpose and meaning in life's events. So basically, like really understanding, staying connected to the new hope, the new vision you feel right now, going into this new journey. If you can feel the meaning of that, the purpose for that, stay connected to that, and knowing that going on a journey is only bringing wisdom. You're on the right path, whether that feels hard or not. You're getting off track or imbalanced if you're seeing things as unfair, ill-fated, like you didn't, kind of a victim mentality, and struggling to see your star in the sky, see that aim that you have so clearly coming into this. All right, that is where I'm going to leave you guys, and happy journeying, happy new hope, new call to action, and have an exciting one. Okay, see you guys. Hello, Pile 2, and welcome to your reading all about what is sort of the new hope from the star card that you are feeling in your life that is about to spur you on a new and exciting journey. We're going to take a look at what that journey looks like. And first, we are going to look at your initial stone and card you drew to draw some insights about what this new vision, this new hope for your future is, where it's coming from, help sort of give some parameters to where this journey might be going due to where it's coming from. So for you guys, you picked the tarot deck that relates to, it's a deck that was designed based off of the movie Labyrinth. So, and that's a movie from, I believe, the 80s. It's pretty old. So if you haven't seen it, it's definitely worth watching. It's very fantastical and mysterious and exciting, and it definitely deals with like a young teenage girl. And the Goblin King kidnaps her little brother when she kind of says in a moment of anger, because she has to babysit him one night when her parents go out, that she wished he was, gone or not there or something. And she has to enter this, the Goblin King's labyrinth to try and get to the heart of the labyrinth where his castle is and where her little baby brother is being held. And and then I had no thoughts around, I just pulled some stones and put them on the cards they called to. I wasn't thinking about the symbolism at all, but all of a sudden when I was about to start this reading and I realized that I paired Opalite with this, it made so much sense about what this new vision and dream and hope for the future might hold. So Opalite has a lot to do with like a youthful optimism and joyfulness and playfulness, but also resilience. And I feel like that is what happens in this labyrinth story. It's a very to me, any sort of labyrinth is like a mind game. And so this is definitely a journey that's going to take you on, I think, some rewiring of your mind. But also it's a journey and a new hope that's coming. So I think that, excuse me, a lot of you coming to this pile are either quite young, or you're coming to this pile because there's like a really, really fresh new beginning in your life. And I don't mean just like a general new adventure. It's like in some way your life is starting over to an extent, but in a way that feels freeing. But I think the heart of this vision here, of what you're looking for, what this new hope is about, is how to build a sense of, to me, what stuck out about the Opalite is resilience. Because that also comes through with the journey that Sarah took in this movie to get her little brother back. Is she came from like that typical youthful kind of self-absorbed place into having to recognize that life isn't just about her, and really learning how to hold some accountability and recognizing the meaning of others in our life and the meaning of not just being fully about ourselves. So I think a lot of you coming to this, whether you're younger or are starting over in some way, there is a sense of aliveness, of playfulness, but like maybe you're looking for something that challenges you to engage and merge with life in a deeper way that develops resilience within you. And so there might be this new vision of a certain resilience you're ready to take on in the stage that you're in. But you have these tools within you of this like teenage energy, which is, just playful and smart and having the world at your fingertips, but realizing that you're ready to step up a little bit more, to be a slightly more adult version of this self of yours. So I'm even thinking of that show I think it's on Apple TV called Loot with Maya Rudolph, and she is married to this tech giant mega billionaire and catches him cheating, so leaves him, and suddenly she's on her own, but she has all this money and this certain lifestyle that's just been all about playing, but she learns that she is the owner of like this amazing nonprofit where she lives, and sort of starts working a little bit with that, and in the process realizing that a lot about her old life was a bit immature, and even though she's able to bring her fun-loving, easygoing self into this new atmosphere to lighten it up, she's finding a new resilience and a new purpose and a place to put that fun spirit she has, a wit that she has, but in a way that's not just for nothing, so that a lot of you might resonate with that type of feeling, like you have this fun aspect of yourself, but you're ready to do something with that a little bit more. Okay, long intro over. We're going to dive into this journey. So this new hope, this new vision, it is creating what is called a call to action. And it's going to set you on a journey. So these initial cards right here are going to look at the theme of this journey. So if you were to watch this journey after it ends in a movie form, or read it in as it was a novel or something, what would the overall theme be about? Sort of like this was about redemption, or it was about coming of age. And that's what this story feels like, a little bit of a coming to age in some way, where you're ready to put all the smarts and beauty and excitement and passion for life, you're ready to put it up against some challenges. You're ready to take it into the bigger world in some way, or use it with a certain strength that you haven't yet with this courage card. So you're kind of just like, yeah, ready to step into something a little bit more daring. And then with the joy and music here, I always feel like there's a divine message when it comes to music. It's something that we feel deeply. It's something that can connect us to, you know, humanity. If you go to a concert, you know, like everyone is vibing to the same vibrations, you know, and it really can merge things and connect us all to something a little bit bigger than ourselves. So I feel like you're looking to use your optimism and your joy towards something bigger than you. Hence, being a little bit more courageous and knowing that you're going to have to build some of that resilience we talked about already. You know, and kind of step out into the bigger, badder world with within this, whatever this is for you, this new start or this new phase of life. Yeah, it's sort of like you're ready to take yourself and this phase in your life towards something, yeah, bigger than you. Okay, so these two cards are going to represent the call to action. And this nothing card definitely indicates that there is something incubating, and you can feel it within you. And that, I think, is going to be quite a big charge for you. It's sort of like you may not quite know what's incubating, what's happening. It feels like a big something, but with nothing to show for it, or an outer nothingness to grasp onto about it, but you feel it deep within. And what it is this deep desire to feel a greater merging with other, or with something higher than yourself, to start seeing, you know, that teen quality that we've talked about with this, you know, whether it's your age or phase of life. One of the big steps within it is to start to move from a self-absorption into a desire for merging with something bigger. So for some of you, this could be romance, and that is always a sign that we want to merge with something bigger than ourselves. That, you know, a first kiss, what that brings, the idea of kissing somebody. But it could also be, you know, like we talked about with the music over here in the theme, just merging with something bigger than you. So it doesn't have to be quite as humanly intimate as the kiss, but I do think that this, for some of you, is a journey about romance. And so learning, you know, how to think about others more responsibly, and connect in an authentic, true, deep, and beautiful way. But for some of you, this is like, yeah, merging with something a little bit more spiritual and divine, and yeah, just stepping outside of yourself, being able to contribute certain beautiful qualities you possess and are enjoying so much. Yeah, there's this longing to contribute, you know, to be part of something with that's not just for your own gain or own appearance or own, you know, agenda. It's wanting to put the beauty you've cultivated, and in the phase you're in right now, there's something you have something amazing to offer to the world, and you're recognizing that. And so there's a big call to action, and for some of you it may manifest as like this desire to kiss someone, and for some of you it might be sort of a spiritual journey that you ignite. So that's the call to action. In that realm, you should recognize it when it comes. It will kind of appear in that way. And then going further, so I've sort of laid it out like a hero's journey, but not all the steps kind of minimized it a little bit for time's sake. But we always have a guide on a journey that we meet pretty soon after the call to action. And so for you, I've used the goddess cards for this guide spot. And Una is who came out for you, and easy does it is sort of her word of wisdom, her motto. It says, there's no need to hurry or force things to happen. Everything is occurring in perfect timing. So I love that for this sort of youthful place you're coming from, because there always can be like that anticipation of the first kiss, or that anticipation of joining something bigger. I feel like by not rushing that and prolonging, making sure it's the right person, the right thing, looking for the signs and symbols that what you're contributing to or merging with actually cares for you, and looking for those signs that there's mutual interest. So taking care of yourself as you do that. How do you care about yourself? How do you merge with yourself? How do you show yourself that you care about you? And how is that being mirrored back to you by the thing you want to merge with? And really looking at that and taking your time with it, which also in that young phase, and it doesn't matter what age you are. Just like I shared with the Apple TV show Loot, she's, I think late 40s, early 50s, but there's this, in this phase, in this moment, that's sort of a fresh, new aspect of a journey. There's a sense of that longing for that connection. And sometimes that can be a really fun thing to draw out and let linger a little bit. That longing can really create some tension, which, if you think musically, can create some beautiful resonances. And in those resonances, that longing, that prolonging, and the tension there, you can start to play with tensions and see what kind of tension feels appropriate to you in terms of what's being reflected back to you with that interest, caring, mutual wanting to merge, and the agenda on that other side. So playing with that longing, tensions, and what's being reflected back to you, and how you take care of your own self, your own side of the tension. How you show the other you're interested, how you care for yourself in a way that shows your boundary and expectation of interest and care from the other, whatever the merging is, the other half of the merging coming in. Okay, so in this next card, this is looking at allies that might come in on this journey and what qualities they'll have. So what to look for when you're looking for allies on this journey. Them having some of the things I talk about with the raccoon will be a nice symbolism and acknowledgement to know that these are in fact allies, which you should feel anyway, but sometimes it's hard to know enemies and allies apart at the start. But allies on this journey for you are very protective. These are going to be people that work for their community and with their community. They collaborate very well, but there's also a little bit of an artistic or something within them that sometimes it's easier to have like a pen name or a call name or something that allows them to take on a certain persona that might be hard to do when they're in their own name and their own shoes. So these could be artist types, they could be I mean, we don't really have vigilantes in real life, but you know, that kind of thing, like super activists, but that are maybe working behind the scenes. But in general, there's a real, the allies that you should collect on this journey and that will start attracting to you are ones that really respect the member of its pack, of its community, and they will sacrifice for each other and take care of each other and put others before themselves. And I think there's a lot of beautiful lessons for you to learn from these allies, and to learn about yourself by even seeing what it feels like to put some sort of call name around you for something you do in your life, to see if it brings out a different aspect of yourself. If there's maybe a little hidden artist or something you wouldn't normally do, but if you put a name around it that's not you, does that allow you to do something you wouldn't normally do that's fun and exciting and great, Okay, and then looking at the enemies in this, so the allies and enemies, in movies and such, those are much more pronounced and amplified. In real life, it's not usually as the enemy here. I mean, sometimes, I guess. But so this could be more like, where is the opposition? People that represent a certain opposition in this path, what energy is around them. So I'm going to read the shadow attribute of this archetype card. So child eternal, inability to grow up and be responsible, extreme dependency on others for physical security. And I actually love these two cards as the allies and sort of the opposition force to your journey, because I feel like you have literally been this shadow aspect of child eternal for a whether that is you're like a teen and that's sort of just the age phase you're coming out of, or if this has been a big new start in your life and you're moving from this phase and looking for something more. But I think the real opposition and resistance force here is like, I feel like right now you have a lot of this around you, and even maybe a little bit of it within you, of this, just this live and let live and freedom, and just, life is fun right now and plain, but this journey and this deep desire in you to find new resilience and find a new sense of responsibility, to merge with something bigger than yourself, new friends, new allies, new peers, mentors even coming into your life. They are dedicated to something else. They are dedicated to a cause. They're dedicated to an art. They are responsible for things and with others. So there's a much more responsible feeling around the allies coming in versus those that are kind of the resistance force of allowing you to grow into this ability to merge in a really beautiful, authentic way with something more than yourself. Okay, so the next card, we have a Priestess of Light card in this position, is representing, so when we go on a typical kind of heroes type journey, there's a moment in it. It's like the lowest point. It's called the belly of the whale, and it's where we are suddenly too far in the journey to turn back, but we're also at this low point, and we recognize how deep we are in it and how much bigger this journey is than us, and it's terrifying. And there can be this feeling of like, I I don't know what, almost like paralysis. Like, I don't know what to do next. This is too much. I want to quit. I want to back out. But there's usually something here because our soul has anchored into it. That even if our mind is sort of like, this is too much, our soul is like, no, we are in this. And you suddenly, this depth and challenge you feel at this low moment pulls out of you resources that you did not realize you had, but that have always been there. And so the resource coming out of you at this moment that you will recognize when it comes is duality, many meanings, and misunderstanding. So this card is actually, I read it a while ago from the guidebook, but it's sort of coming through in my mind. I've been just trying to kind of read the images, but the guidebook is coming to mind. That I think this woman represents Mary Magdalene in the Christianity story, and how her story has been misinterpreted. She's been misinterpreted. There's been so many different perspectives and points of view with her, and I think that what you recognize in this moment of this low point where you have to pull out a resource within you that's seemingly new, but it's always been there, is this ability to hold, just like this raccoon and some of your allies, of like mean different things to different people for different reasons, and being okay with that. And so there may be a bit of a chameleon aspect within you where you're able to kind of blend in. And previously, that's maybe, in the irresponsible phase you're moving out of, has maybe been used as, for some of you, maybe like a slight ability to manipulate situations or get what you want. But I think you're suddenly seeing this part of yourself and recognizing that this is actually a quality that allows you to hold a lot of polarities within you, that allows you to see the light and shadow and not be so fixed on the right way to do this or the right party in this conflict, or like just not seeing things as so black and white, and instead of using that sort of unconsciously to sort of get your way, using it as something that brings depth of understanding and broader perspective, and kind of looks beneath the surface of things, of certain stereotypes or reputations or whatever it is. Like you're suddenly able to just like see life and people and causes and situations and circumstances with a lot of like in a kaleidoscope of ways, with so many, an ability to bend your perspective and see things with just so many meanings, and being able to use that to harmonize. So, going back to the music that we already felt and the tension that I was talking about with Una, like being able to use this broadened perspective and this really flexible perspective to create harmonies in the world and do something with that, like merge with the world with another in a way that's you've never experienced, you know, because it's just seen with such a broadened, you know, way of seeing, of connecting, of being. So really cool. Okay, so these last cards here in the hero's journey, there's usually like a final really difficult challenge and then a resurrection we go through, where it's sort of like we go through an ego death and a rebirth into what this journey is about. We kind of master what it was we needed to get out of this journey and come into who this was supposed to turn us into. So here we've got anima. This is like the last challenge that would come. The main, biggest, but last challenge is, this is sort of the yin side of us, and oftentimes it's just talked about the yin within the yang, or within a man, the feminine within a man, but I like to just look at it as sort of like the yin aspect within us. So for you, this challenge is either going to be realizing and overcoming that you might be coming from a very masculine place in your life, so appearance, doing things in the expected way, or because of certain peer influence or parental influence or industry influence, and realizing that hasn't always led us to the joy and happiness of our soul, of something deep within us, and starting to get in touch with, discover, trust, flesh out, develop a relationship with our intuitive capacity, and doing things that might sometimes seem counter logic or counter logical to sort of our rational mind, but allowing some guidance in our life to what our intuition wants, what we want within, what that little voice within has to say, versus what the appearance of something is, or the norm or expected timeline of something. So it's sort of like this new, and this could also, for some of you, if this is like a romance situation, it could be awakening that within a masculine type of figure in your life, someone who runs more on the masculine side, who is very, logical and rational and focused and linear in approach, and harsh about things that are whimsical and imaginative and intuitive. And it might be this challenge of like waking that up in them to be able to create a more fertile, tender richness in their life and in the connection that you guys develop together. And then the resurrection, the death and rebirth that happens for you guys is this aletheia and compassion. So you come into this deep place of really understanding what truth is, and knowing how to be truthful, what needs a certain amount of truth around it, and coming from a place of compassion within that. So to me, and I actually just want to read a little bit from the guidebook for aletheia. I think it's like the very last card in this. See, our soul recognizes the truth when someone speaks it. A cool wave of relief washes over the room, and all the facts and figures in the world fall by the wayside. Such is the power of aletheia. It has an undeniable resonance that goes beyond the rational. We can also recognize aletheia by its contagiousness. When we hear someone speak the truth, we see the truth within ourselves and are more likely to tell our own story. The Aletheia card requires us to step toward an act of truth. This might look like a conversation, a gesture, a poetic act, or a ritual that honors the unveiling of what's been concealed. Reclaiming your own truth as a way to reclaim your vital energy, health, and sense of belonging to the world. Truth has its own wings, set it free. So I like that it says like truth has a resonance that goes beyond the rational. So this makes sense, that resurrection coming after the anima, like waking up that more intuitive, deep, sort of feminine aspect of self that's a little bit more imaginative and rich and fertile, and you know, allows guidance to come from somewhere that sometimes doesn't make sense, but sometimes it is a more true, authentic sort of expression of self. So I think this is like coming into a deep truth of self that is a greater balance of your yin and yang, of your which would represent that deeper commitment within self to a more wholeness of self, would inspire a more divine connection to another romantically, or to something bigger than self, even like spiritually or communally. So it's like, yeah, really finding that truth of self through how you find your own depth and wake up your own depth, and a new compassion that comes out of you. Sometimes that kind of coming from that more younger teen mode doesn't always, you know, I mean, it's a generalization, but doesn't always hold a ton of compassion. That's a little bit more self-absorbed, which is just part of a phase of life. We have to go through self-absorption before we can go to other steps. It's just part of what it is, and that it can be a beautiful, fun time. But it's like a coming of age here is what's happening. Excuse me. And it's waking up a new sense of compassion, a new sort of depth, a new harmony within, which brings a new sort of quality of union without in your life as well. Okay, we are going to draw just a few tarot cards to get some more sort of like specific details, see what comes up out of the tarot, and then we'll do a final little oracle card for a message. Okay. Okay. So 7 of Air, the Emperor, the High Priestess. Okay, I think I'm just gonna have to be okay with these being messy. They're new and a little stiff, and it wants to move other cards with them when I move them. Okay. Got 3 of Pots. Beautiful. Queen of Feathers. One more. And the Chariot. I love it. Oh, this is, yeah, very aligned to what I saw. So 7 of Feathers, to me, it's sort of like turning your back on what the groups, what the friendships, you know, that what we talked about early in this reading of like maybe having in this phase you're moving out of being around a lot of people that aren't super responsible and they're out there for fun, and maybe there's certain appearances and norms and expectations that people have placed on you and your behaviors, and you're turning your back on this and you're walking towards your unique individuality, and other people's opinions be damned. So that shows a real resolve to step into this new resilience that you're looking for, of being, you know, part of something more than just yourself. So that's really cool. And then the Emperor coming through, you're definitely looking for sort of a new order to your life, a new, just like a new sense of what your life is for, what motivates you, what spurs you on, hence how you kind of create structure and order in your life. You're sort of ready to do this very differently, and you're ready to take on a lot of responsibility in that. So that's beautiful to see. And then the High Priestess totally coming through with what we saw with this Anima card. It's really time to start developing a relationship, first and foremost, with your intuitive powers, because that is the key to you finding the right mergers with, whether that's romantically or with something bigger than you. You need to get right with your intuitive command first. And, you know, that takes a little bit of time to start to understand and trust and even be aware of. But it's showing that you're really dropping into your soul beautifully, though. You're really starting to understand in this journey. You develop like a really beautiful understanding of what it feels like to be right within your soul, right within your depths. You're really also feeling with your allies, especially, like, to me this connects deeply with your allies card. You're feeling what your soul family should feel like. And you know when you're with them intuitively. That's like maybe the first way you start developing your intuition, is understanding that feeling you get when you're with people that are your soul family, and the way you just drop into each other and feel connected and supportive. And then the Queen of Feathers totally is like that with the Althea, the resurrection happening, is a deep truth of self, like knowing your truth of self. So knowing how to be resolute and strong in your values and your boundaries, and what's right and wrong in your world, and how to stand strong for that. And this last card is such a beautiful one to come up last. The Chariot is totally just showing that this journey has movement, it has traction, and it is you're moving quickly through this. This is a journey that's going to go pretty quickly for you. I feel like you're very committed to it. You're really feeling what your soul feels like, and you're really feeling the resilience you have when you come up against challenges with sort of changing your mode of operandi. You're the center of your universe, your mode of being, your the order of who you are and where you're going and what you're doing. Is sort of dropping into place quite quickly, and with a lot of forward movement. So that's, a really beautiful ending card to see. Okay, one last card. This is a plant communication that's sort of an ally that will this guidance it wants to give will help to give you some wisdoms around what patterns you will see when you're working this journey in a very balanced way, and what patterns you will see when you're out of balance on this journey. Okay. Mimulus. I guess. I don't know what that is. Okay, so when you are in balance, the patterns you will see on this journey are courage. That was the very, first card of the journey. Courage and confidence to face life's challenges. Radiant light that shines outward to the world. Beautiful. And I love that challenge and courage, and then this kind of feels like the radiant light. So music could be a beautiful thing to listen to kind of channel your courage and channel your radiance. When you are out of balance, patterns that will show up are over-exaggerated concern for daily life events, so a little bit of over-dramatization, and extreme apprehension for new thresholds of experience. So beautiful. Those are kind of your ending words of wisdom here. This journey feels so exciting. It definitely feels like a coming of age, no matter what age you are. And whatever age you are, like that longing for either the romance and kiss or to merge with something greater is like one of, looking back and having nostalgia at certain points in your life, it's one of the most beautiful phases to be in. So even though it can feel sort of that longing and that some like beautiful pain in there, and it can feel torturous, there's nothing like that feeling, and it's, when you grow up, it's rare to get that back. So do try to have fun with that, enjoy it, and really respect yourself in terms of what you're merging with and allowing to merge with you. This is big decisions there, and things that can affect the rest of your life. So no small matter, but also just like really beautiful and exciting. All right, this is where I'm going to leave you guys. If this resonated with you, I always appreciate a thumbs up. It's the easiest way to support my channel. I also love reading the comments, and of course, if you are not subscribed, please do that. I'd love to do more readings for you. Okay, see you guys. Hello, Pile 3, and welcome to your reading all about a new hope, a new vision for your future that's coming through, and then looking at, based off of that, what kind of journey that is going to spark in your life. So for you guys, you picked the pile with the card from the Herbcrafter's deck. And your star is made with the leaves of cottonwoods and the little star seeds it has and some branches, and it's placed in some water that is reflecting the stars in the night sky. So there's something very cosmic about this, spacious about this, but also looking specifically at the cottonwood. There's always water nearby when there's a cottonwood, which could mean that this new spark of hope or a new vision coming through could be the feeling of inspiration close at hand, a sense of some kind of inspiration coming through. And for you, it could be around a sense of wealth that you've really wanted to generate in your life, which could be financial wealth, wealth of soul, wealth of friends, wealth of relationships, whatever sense of wealth you feel some sort of new hope coming through around is going to be what your spark is, what this reading is going to kind of center around. And really beautiful. And I definitely get the sense that you guys, this pile has called in some of the older souls, or at least souls that have been on some sort of epic and are coming into a deep awareness, a deep understanding of something in life, which could be different from all of you, so I don't want to get too specific on that. Another thing that I wanted to point out with this cottonwood tree from making up this star card is cottonwood trees. Their trunks tend to be quite battered and bruised, but their leaves are really radiant and beautiful. So that's also maybe where I'm getting the sense that like you've been through it and you're coming into a really deep understanding of some big, large arcing thing in your life. Is I think you can feel those beautiful leaves about to come on in your life, but something about your core has had some wounds and kind of been through it. But I think this journey is bringing in something really beautiful. So let's dive into this. These first two cards here are sort of symbolizing the main theme of this journey. So once you are done with the journey, if you were to watch it back in a movie and distill it into like a main theme, these are what these cards are about. So patience, and then building and atoms is what this says. So the feeling I get here is that patience is a virtue, and I think there's like really deep foundational processes that you have developed and you know how to be patient with, because you know that patience and process builds some amazing things. And I think this journey is really bringing you into seeing the manifestation of something being built that's taken a long time and a lot of patience and a lot of development of process. Doubly emphasized here is the fact that I was about 25 minutes into this reading when I realized it was not recording and that my battery had died before, or maybe like right when I started it. So that was hugely significant to me because there was something going on with my battery, and it took an hour for it to get up to 50% charged, which is just like, that should take, because I have like a rapid charger, it should take like 10 minutes to do that. So yeah, something like delays, errors, but there's something in you understand patience. You've been through those types of hurdles before and roadblocks, and the theme of this journey for you is that patience is paying off as a massively beautiful virtue that's about to begift you with some sort of wealth. So, and I also feel like going back to, I feeling like this is the end of some epic, that patience and the building and the atoms and this cosmic feeling with your star card is like, if this were a movie, it would be like the 7th episode or the 7th installment of Harry Potter or something, not really evoking anything about Harry Potter, but just that it's a series of like, I think it's like 7 of them, but this would be like the last. So this is a journey within a larger art journey, and it's the last one of it. And so some really deep, profound understandings and tangles are being confronted and seen and really sinking in here, which is what we can see with these next two cards, which are representing sort of the call to action, the central conflict, the spark that sets this journey off. So we've got the Poet and Impasse. So to me, this is saying that you are someone that really is looking for the truth about something big, and you're willing to put yourself into the darkness of things, into the tangled web of things, and using your patience and your processes to see what's at the heart of what this tangle is, to see the truth of it, where it's coming from, why it's here, and very slowly and systematically going through it. And there's something both profoundly personal and profoundly universal that you are coming to understand, and the truths you find that you're able to share with such meaning and wisdom and artfulness into the world by going on this journey. But there is, whether you're already in a tangle or up against some sort of impasse and suddenly there's something that happens that where you can find the truth of why you're in this and you're ready to get out, or you're putting yourself purposely in some sort of tangled web because you know you're the person that can find some sort of truth in this. Okay, so that is what kicks off this journey. We've got the theme of the journey. We've got sort of the heart of the matter for you about a new hope that's at the seed point of where this journey's coming from. So down on this other second row, bottom row, there are some more cards that represent different stages of the kind of like the hero's journey. And I haven't done all of them. I've just kind of done a handful that really stick out to me as feeling important to this reading. So one that I thought would be important to showcase is anytime we are spurred on like some new big epic new journey, there's usually a guide that comes through pretty early on within that to offer wisdom, guidance, help, insight, some kind of keys to what you're going to need in going forward. So you've got Yemenya, golden opportunity. Important doors are opening for you right now. Walk through them. So I feel a deep tie from the Pyrite, your stone, as well as to the impasse here. So the golden opportunity of Yemenya is she is here to kind of point you forward toward the places that hold the wealth of whatever you're looking for, the places that hold the gold of the matter. At the same time, these important doors, excuse me, that are opening for you and you're being guided to walk through them, I think Yemenya is the one who has her hands dabbling in this, whether she's directly giving you signs about doors through these impasses, or if she is through third parties offering, orchestrating ways for different doors to open to you in these impasses, whether it's helping hand from a friend that suddenly appears, some information that suddenly appears, some information that suddenly kind of connects together where you have like a sudden aha moment of insight and inspiration come through. The other thing about this, though, is Yemenya, just like the waves of the ocean and the sea creatures underneath, is very diverse and wants to bring through the message that if you miss one wave, one opening, one door, do not despair and do not look back. There will be a next one and a next one. There will always be another one right behind it. So don't worry if you miss a signal or miss a door, or it just doesn't feel like the right timing for you to open a door that is offered to you. So the next two cards are about the allies and enemies coming through, which, if you watch a movie, it's always a little bit exaggerated in that sense versus what we actually experience in real life typically. But I feel like these offer a lot of insight. The types of allies that show up and the types of oppositional type of forces that show up has a lot to say about what this journey is doing in your life and developing for you. So with the allies, we've got the butterfly. And so these are people, peers, friends, family, whatever it is, coming through who have a light touch, who can add a little bit of lightness and beauty and grace in your life while you're to help lift you out at the right times of these moments of stuckness or darkness, or down into the muck of something. There's some really beautiful, light touch, graceful people, but who really understand what you're up against. So they know not to distract you at the wrong times. They know the opportune times to come in and add that grace and levity, because excuse me, as a butterfly, they have also been through it. They have completely transformed. They've been a caterpillar, and they've been in a chrysalis, and they've been reborn. They've had their resurrection, which is the end stage of a journey. It's a resurrection. They have recently been through that. So they understand it, and they know how to come in at the right moments. They have divine timing in terms of when to add that lightness of touch into your life, and exactly how to do it, and how to keep you from just descending into utter stuckness and darkness. And they'll help to bring you into a lightness, especially when that's something that you need to sort of step back sometimes and lighten up sometimes to get just like a different, renewed perspective on something. So the oppositional forces that will come in, whether they're specific people or a general attitude in the world that feels counter to what you're needing, or something that you yourself are trying to change about who you are, so like inner enemy, whatever this resonates as for you. I'm going to read the shadow attribute of the hedonist. So pursues pleasure to the detriment of health, indulges at the expense of others. So this may hold some keys about what the tangle, the impasse is about, what you're trying to get truth around is, on like a really universal grand scale. One example of this might be the ultimate consumerist who has not paid attention to or cared for the planet, or where consumerism is going, and just indulges to their highest delight and pleasure, or on a much more micro scale. Another example might be someone who is taking advantage of a lot of resources that you've offered and gifted and allowed to be utilized by people around you, and there's now a certain expectation in the relationship that's created a lot of tangles and difficulty and stuckness and weird issues around understanding the truth of certain things. So, or anything in between. Those are just, some examples on different ends of a spectrum. But that's some kind of force to recognize, that's kind of trying to tip you off balance in this journey, but that you're trying to overcome or see the truth about. So the next card is indicating when this journey ends up into what's called the belly of the whale. And this has a lot to do with getting to a certain point of a journey where it's like the point of no return. So you are on this journey and there's suddenly no backing out, but it's like a midway point. So there's still a long ways to go, and you feel that, and you feel the weight of it, and you suddenly are like, oh wow, this is not something I can tiptoe through. Like, I am in this and it's big, and there's usually this feeling when we get to this stage in the journey of like wanting to give up or not seeing the next step in front of us because there's just an overwhelm. And in that, it usually comes a feeling of a bit of a low point. And what happens due to that, and we have to go through this in a journey, is to channel an inner resource that we've always had, but that has never been called forth. You've never utilized, you've never seen it, but it's laying there, latent with possibility and access if you can go deep enough to find it. And what you find here in this moment is deep emotions. So unknown feelings, past life influences. So this may indicate that whatever this tangle is about and truth, and maybe this hedonistic opposition force, maybe you are someone on this longer, bigger arc of this journey who's come a lot from head and tried to figure out things more rationally, or just looked at the appearance of things, and you're now being called to feel this. So closing your eyes when you're up against this impasse and asking what you feel about it. And that might even help Yemenia on her path to trying to help you, is getting in touch with your emotions. Could be such a huge key and a huge resource for you on this journey into understanding things in a non-linear, non-rational, but more deeply, richly profound way that opens doors that you've never looked for, that illuminates the source or core of where this tangle is coming from in a way that you could never find just by using your systematic, logical approach to following, one, in appearance, following and figuring out what's going on with this tangle, channeling into and feeling your emotions and identifying emotions. This may be something that oversteps anything that the rational mind can do, that brings this meaning and understanding in a just like a new, beautiful, profound way. So in these last two cards here, there's a final challenge card, and then two cards that represent this final challenge is always something that is kind of the empowerment moment. So when we face it and we overcome this thing where our life force really has to claim itself and empower itself from any, excuse me, I need a sip of water. From any blocks or leaks, it goes through, there's like an ego death by doing this, and like a death and a rebirth or a resurrection, and we are reborn into a much more empowered, alive, vital kind of version of ourselves. So this final challenge has to do with how you are meshing your consciousness with sort of the antiquity of time and the cosmic information, the way you're opening up your consciousness to mingle with other sources, both deeper and higher, and how that can bring such a wisdom by opening. This is, to me, it's just like this opening up to go deep and to go high and to allow your own consciousness to mingle with things other than self and other than the wisdoms you've gained through your own experiences. It's divine help and ancestral help, and just allowing all of that in. So there may be something about opening up this deep emotional resource within you that finally allows your consciousness to kind of step out of bounds from where it's been and see with such a deeper and higher perspective, and find a wisdom that is not possible just within oneself, but that comes from yeah, this merging with things much bigger and much more spiritual in nature. So yeah, there's some big challenge for you around this, and maybe some sort of ego issue that has to be sort of broken open. But by doing this, by allowing the bigger energies of other places and times to mingle within you and through you, you find the circuit. So the thread is sort of like, it's so fascinating to me that the thread came out in conjunction with the impasse as being a central conflict, and then this being kind of the resurrection mode. It's like with this impasse, it's like you're trying to find the right, like the source of where this is coming from. And with the thread, you recognize that you've always been connected to that all along, and you don't have to find anything. You're already in it. You've already touched it. You're already connected to it, and it's like the circuit of meaning that's fully connected to you. So that aha of like, I don't have to figure anything out. It's already within me. I've already connected to that thread of meaning. That brings you now to some sort of beautiful happy ending. And I love the yellow in this happy ending card, connecting kind of back to that wealth here of something. So, and then also thinking about that meaning with being connected to the right circuit of meaning with the thread, and the poet being able to express a depth of meaning, of truth, of something that's personal and universal and profound. And yeah, so it's really gorgeous to see all of that come through. Okay, so from here we are just going to pull 6 tarot cards to get a little bit more information, a little context about this journey, anything else that wants to come through about it. Hija of Fire, 7 of Fire. Love poppy and lime and cinnamon coming out in here. Let's see, Curandera of Earth. The Sun, beautiful, which matches with a happy ending to me. 5 of Earth. Okay. Last one. The Moon, Datura. Okay. So we've got, let me pick up the book because I'm not sure if the Hija is the page traditionally or the Knight. Hold on one second. Make sure I'm telling you guys the right things. Okay, so I think Hija is it's the daughters, so kind of the pages, and then the curanderas, the healers. Okay, so healers and daughters. So the daughter of fire with the California poppy. This feels like something fiery and bright and vital coming through that you're wanting to connect with. So this wealth and this tangle that you're trying to figure out may have to do with like a new sense of vitality, wanting to be found within you, an excitement. I did read this as you having gone through maybe like a quite long, arduous journey that sort of aged your soul in a beautiful way, but maybe you're looking for that new chapter. That's what you're wanting to come through. You're kind of ready to go back into a new soul cycle or something that has a freshness, a vitality, a youngness, and a certain, wealth and wealth of possibility within that. And I also feel that with like the leaves of the stars of the cottonwood being kind of like these new, fresh, bright things attached to something that's been through it. So yeah, to me it feels like you're wanting to step into just a really kind of fresh soul cycle, but there's like the last dregs of some long, arduous soul cycle that you've been through that could even have covered multiple lifespans, but you're coming into a journey that's ending it, that's going to lead you, I believe, to this like a new fresh cycle where your soul is learning something different and new, so there is a youngness around it that's ready to kind of appear. But you just have to get through some last big things with this old cycle. And then 7 of Fire with cinnamon. And I love the lime here. It is very vital. There's some battle to be had here for sure, but you have what it takes. You have the spice and the freshness, the heat within you to stand up to what you need to stand up to in order to get to this new soul cycle. You've got it within you. You've just got to trust it. Trust that you have enough vitality and strength to stand up to any sort of competition coming through. And then the Healer of Earth, I love this. So talking about that maybe you've had some deep wounds coming into this journey. I think really deepening into the earth and processes and a certain patience that you've really cultivated within yourself. There's going to be something very healing about that, just allowing your patience to be there in a slow building and taking your time with this impasse that is not quite the impasse it appears to be. Maybe that impasse is there, that slowing you down to getting to this fresh soul cycle because you need to see the wholeness, the web of your whole life or multiple lives, and really ground into it, recycle it, heal it, be with it. Talking about those deep emotions and maybe that sageness, what you're needing to like open up to past lifetimes and all the wounds you've had in order to let go of a certain amount of control you've needed because of the wounds you've sustained, and trusting a new openness to come through and healing from the earth, and that merging of deep emotions, past life influences. I totally forgot about that card said that. An unknown feeling. So I do feel like there's things from past lifetimes. That's what the impasse maybe is there's things from other lifetimes that you're needing to slow down to, even if you can't, don't have the memories come back with these deep emotions and allowing your consciousness to merge to other things, you can at least feel what they've done within you and what needs to be done to recycle them. What are the wounds that are there, even if you don't remember how they were sustained? And so how can you open up your emotions about that, and how can you open up your consciousness for help to move past it and kind of drop your ego a little bit in order for other things to come in and help hold this and see the wisdom that you've gained from the wounds and the wisdom you need to heal them a bit. So yeah, the Healer of earth and sweet, it could be worth getting some braided sweetgrass to burn. That might help you connect into these deep emotions. But yeah, by doing this, really connecting and plugging into this earth energy, into past life, past soul journeys, feeling things that are there but you don't know why. Doing that work is really going to help you find this new bright, beautiful alignment that will help you find this sort of rebirth, this new fresh soul cycle. And 5 of Earth showing up makes me feel like that wealth you're looking for, whether it's financial or about something else, there is a change in values that's taking place in you. And oftentimes when a change of values is coming, even though it is like an up leveling, that transition time of moving from one way of feeling a certain value to a different way of feeling it, that transition period asks us to go within, to cultivate it and understand it and develop it within. And so outside of ourselves, or even within, until we really understand what that change or transition is about, there can be this feeling of scarcity. So it's like this huge arc coming to an end. You've got some battle wounds. You've had this patience that you've really been building. But at the same time, there's like this scarcity that you're feeling. But it's because you're coming into this transformed, transcended place. And just on the other side of this transition of scarcity of whatever the wealth is to you, is the wealth. And so to lean into really learning about what this transition of a value within you is, because once you cultivate it, identify it, honor it within, that starts reflecting outside of you. So use that moments of feelings of scarcity to really push inward and understand what change is happening in your value and how to kind of really anchor it and honor it, because then everything will start to shift. And I think this is going to be the sign that the new value, the new soul development is on its way in. And then the moon, Datura, as the ending one, totally reflects to me with the impasse and the thread that, and the deep emotions, what I said about this card is like, not everything is as it seems. And you really do need to get out of logical, linear, rational thinking. You really need to push into those deep emotions, opening up to your emotions and opening your consciousness beyond your own consciousness, because there are things you can't understand in the normal ways you've been programmed to find understanding. You need to stay open-minded, connect into your emotions, and these illusions of impasse will clear up, the doors will open, and you will be gifted this fresh new California poppy soul journey, a new journey of soul, develop something new in your soul, but that will start out in a very fresh, fertile, vibrant, energetic, and full of potential, and kind of the wealth that comes with that, beginner's luck kind of thing. So that's the transition you're going through here. The journey is to transition out of a many lifetime, long, arduous place into a very fresh, vital, energetic, new journey of soul. Okay, one last oracle card to pull here from the Kingdom of the Plants, whichever one we choose, it will show you what patterns are are going to present themselves when you are working through this journey in a balanced, positive way, and what patterns will show up when you are out of balance and not working appropriately in this journey. Okay, oh, instructions. I think that's a good, because I just tossed it, made me think of there's no instructions for this journey. Check in with your intuition, your emotions. Okay, so we've got Wild Oat. So when you're in balance, the patterns that will show work as an expression of inner calling, manifestation of one's true goals and values, work experiences motivated by a clear life purpose and conviction. So yeah, that feeling of an inner calling, manifestation taking place, purpose and conviction. Yeah, that main circuit, being connected to that, I think manifests as sort of a conviction and a purpose being felt. Okay, so when you're out of balance, the patterns that come are confusion and indecision about direction. The moon totally reflecting that, and that need to really be connected to your intuition. Get out of your mind with when you're confused and indecisive, get out of mind and let your emotions and body tell you things. Trying many activities, but chronically dissatisfied or restless. And that could be the impasse, trying anything and everything to kind of move your life or find that meaning or understanding about something. Lack of commitment or focus, work for survival rather than service. That's a beautiful thing. Work for survival rather than service. So if this patience and systematic process building, if you're using that just as a means of survival, you're kind of missing the point, the main circuit of meaning. You're missing your poet. So don't do the things that you're capable of doing, which are huge and amazing, just to survive. Realize what you need to put it into service for. What is it serving, and how is that shifting your values upward to a higher vibration? Okay, really beautiful, you guys. Good luck on this journey. I think you guys are incredibly wise and seasoned, and I have no doubt you'll get through this with all the butterfly help and grace you need. So yeah, blessings to you. All right, this is where I'm going to leave you. If this resonated with you and you liked it, the best way you can support my channel is through just a simple thumbs up. Thank you for that. And of course, I love reading comments. Those are always fun to kind of skim through. And definitely, if you are not subscribed yet, please do so. I'd love to do more readings for you. All right, see you guys. Hello, Pile 4, and welcome to your reading all about some sort of new vision, new hope for your future that is percolating within you, and it's sparking. It's at the root of the reason why some sort of new journey is about to spark in your life. So you guys chose the Star card from the Transparent Tarot, and also the Sunstone. So these together, to me, tell me that there's something connected to this journey about seeing life in a much more dimensional way with a lot of different perspectives, but also perspectives, this need that's coming through, and this new vision for your future, new spark of hope coming through, and this desire to kind of see things in a more layered, dimensional way is very much so connected to coming into an acceptance of more pleasure, more beauty, more simplicity of joy in your life. Like maybe you've always expected life to be hard, but you're gaining all sorts of different lenses and ways of looking at things, or just coming into a sensation within you that life is supposed to be easier for you. So it's time to kind of have your time out, not fully, it's not like disengage from life, but like have that ability for time to allow you to enjoy things, to take long walks and smell the roses and travel and whatever it is that brings you joy and connection to your life force, and an acceptance that life can be a little bit more easy and pleasurable than maybe it's either you've allowed it to be or it's been allowed to be in your past. So there's something in you about this new hope, new vision, new craving, new understanding that is about to spark a journey in your life. So we're going to jump into this with these first two cards. So these two are indicating, once you go through this journey, if you were to watch this back as like a film, these would indicate the overall theme of what this journey was about. And for you, you've got release as well as discipline and time. And I love this. I feel like you, whatever age you are, this doesn't matter. It may have more to do with like your soul age, or just a phase of your life in general, or a phase of how your soul is growing, where you've come to a certain rhythm of wholeness, of feeling your full sense of sovereignty, what your productivity is, what your purpose is. And it's now time to let go a little bit of control, let go of the frazzled nerves of having to be productive and purposeful in everything, and just allowing life to be, allowing other people to take up some of the load, allowing a little bit more exchange. You've already kind of like gathered your harvest, done your work in something, and it's time to exchange upon this. It's time to let that work for you, to let go of growth and let your harvest into the world in order to bring you more ease and relaxation. And I think, yeah, this is showing to me that you've put the discipline in, you've already done the hard work, and now time is on your side. Now time is slowing down for you. It's relaxing. It's been sort of wound up, and now you see these clocks sort of hanging with this beautiful light coming in, and just like this golden glow of ease, of not feeling so wound up, and trusting that all of the work and discipline you've put in is now working for you. You can let go. I love this. This feels like a crew that has really lived in your sympathetic nervous system for some time, and felt maybe a lot of personal or even placed upon guilt of always needing to be doing something, being productive, getting your shit together. and suddenly you're like, you know what? My shit is together. Things are working. time is relaxing. I'm stepping into my parasympathetic nervous system. I'm letting go of things that don't matter anymore. I'm seeing what it means to allow pleasure to drive my life forward, relaxation to drive my life forward. So there's some big, looking at the whole overarching theme of this journey, there's something that pertains to this. So the theme here in these next cards that is going to actually spark this journey into process, into action, into momentum. You could call this the call to action, or you could call it like the inciting event or the central conflict. But there's something where you have, I actually want to switch how these cards are ordered. Not that it really matters, but I feel like that you've had a lot of perseverance in your life, and it's worn you out. It's exhausted you, and it's sort of like you have been reaching for certain mountaintops or certain goals, certain aims, out of either duty or expectation, or that's just what you're supposed to do, or maybe there was like a little spark of something, but it's like you get stubborn, and once you start something you don't stop. So even though you became unhappy on certain paths, you just kept going. But at the same time, that willingness to put in the work, to keep your eye on the prize, to build your processes, to keep going no matter how you felt, has developed within you this huge quality of perseverance. But something about that perseverance is now flipping, like, I almost want to turn this upside down. It's now flipping on its head. And it's like, you know what? This perseverance that I've developed, that I've used to just develop perseverance for developing perseverance, I'm now putting that towards that perseverance I've developed towards what I actually want and feel excited by in life. And maybe I've never done that before completely, because what I really wanted, I couldn't even admit to myself, because maybe it's looked down upon or looked at as lazy or looked at as entitled or selfish or whatever it is. But maybe that's the vision your soul really has for you in this lifetime, is a vision to really enjoy life and to relax into life. And in this lifetime, just to understand what it means to live with your nervous system as calm, to live with a certain amount of input you've already put in to support you as it does the work in the world now, and you can sit back and watch it work, you know. You're now stepping into that power behind the throne and letting other people do the work, while you just sort of give your wisdom of perseverance, give your insights with these owls. You have a lot of insight, a lot of wisdom, but there's a vision, you know, that we all come into this life with, and we forget when we're born. That's what this card says. And we spend a lifetime trying to remember what our vision is. And yeah, I think you're remembering it, and you have there. We do. It's like we get little breadcrumbs about it. Certain feelings we get can kind of lead us towards this, and you were meant to develop perseverance and discipline. That was part of your vision, but you're coming to the second part of your vision where you can now be that center of the universe rock, that peak of the mountain that other people look up toward, that has a deep wisdom within that you can give your guiding advice for, but for a price. You are at a place to start exchanging upon things that you have come into solidity with, that you have honed as your own, that are a full harvest you have to exchange upon now, and you can sit back and relax upon that in some way. I'm not saying that like everyone coming to this can just retire tomorrow, but there is something you need to look for that's coming through. What kind of perseverance do you have, and how can that now start to work for you? How can you use your perseverance towards the aim of getting towards a relaxed nervous system and a pleasurable life, more so than where you're at right now? Because there's a vision before you were born that you had for this lifetime of having some ease, of learning to move out of sympathetic nervous system to parasympathetic nervous system. But I think this is, it's a challenge. Once you've lived one way and have been born with a certain wiring and programmed a certain way, it can be hard to unwind from that. So that's part of this journey, is unwinding from a certain way of being into a more easeful way of being. So it is a journey. It's a journey to get there. And some of you, maybe you will be able to retire at the end of this, but that's the journey, is to get to that point, to learn how to trust that is something you can do. So, okay, moving on from that kind of inciting incident, that challenge, we are moving down into this bottom row, which has elements of steps along the hero's journey. I didn't do all of them, but some of the ones that I thought would be fun to bring into this reading. So typically near the beginning of any journey, we are met with a guide that has insight and wisdom and tools for us that we will need on our road through this journey. And so I used the goddess cards for this, and the one that came through for you is Lakshmi, bright future. And she says, stop worrying, everything is going to be fine. And that is sort of like this trust that you're needing to learn how to lean into, and Lakshmi is here to help you fall into that. Again, that unwinding, I think, that you're doing in this journey could really ignite a lot of worry about, and like guilt about stepping out of being so productive into being more laid back and relaxed. And so there's something here, some permission being given, and you could look for this yourself because this is a guide coming through. If you ask for it, you should come across the right tools or a literal guide in your life that say, just aloud, say like, I need help to understand how to not worry about not being as productive as I've always been, about how to lean into relaxation. And some information or some words of wisdom from somebody else should come along, if you trust this, to give you more specific to you guidance about why you shouldn't worry and why things will be fine, or how to just trust that statement for your situation. But to trust that there is a bright future ahead, because you've already put in a certain amount of effort and work in this lifetime, and you've reconnected to the vision of what you want. And something I need to go back to this real quick about is, I think I did mention that when we are connected to our vision, we have energy and vitality. When we are not connected to it is when we feel exhausted. So that's a good way to gauge you know, how you're working on this path, and there should be some energy around you in terms of meditating on bright future that should feel connected to you, and this release, this ease that should feel connected and paradoxically give you more energy to relax. So yeah, just wanted to go back and re-emphasize that. Okay, so these next two cards are indicating the allies and enemies that come along. And of course, in movies, when we see those two things come along, it's a little bit exaggerated compared to what how that manifests in our real lives. But that being said, there are some really profound and deep truths about the enemy ally thing on a journey. So allies could be peers, friendships, family members, anyone who really, where you feel that they lift you up, that they have your back, and that they have similar goals as you have. And there's this real excuse me, camaraderie and lifting up of spirits and encouragement felt there. That's what you should feel. And the allies you have are so effing powerful. The elephant is the strongest animal in this particular animal spirit deck, and it gets rid of any obstacles in its path. It has optimism, it lifts things up, it has strength, but yeah, it plows through any obstacles in your path. So allies coming through, maybe clearing obstacles around why you feel wound up, around any blocks you have to this vision of relaxation, any blocks you have around worrying about your future. These feel like very forward-thinking people, wise, nurturing, maternal type allies who, can see the path forward for you. So really, really amazing. On top of an amazing guide, just like really amazing allies too. I think you can lean on just as much as your guide for kind of guidance. They're going to clear any blocks that you ask them to clear. So be bold about that. Ask your allies to help you clear blocks because they can. Okay, so the enemies coming through, and this may be just sort of felt as opposing forces, not like all out, evil enemies or but it's some sort of opposition to what you're trying to do. And I'm going to read the shadow attribute for this. So martyr, addiction to self-pity. So I feel like these are people or forces that are going to play into your worry, who need you to be wound up for them, who need your quality of perseverance to help their agenda, their path, their martyrdom. And so, I feel like this is like energy vampire kind of quality. So people you feel sucking your energy or winding you up or adding on to any sense of your worry or blocking you, but generally pulling you away from feeling energized and into feeling that exhaustion. Those are the forces and people that you need to create better boundaries with. And in some cases, maybe step away from. Okay, so moving on to the next card. This is the belly of the whale position. So, and our priestesses of light, I'm putting in this position. So this is a point in the journey where we're about halfway through a journey, and it's usually comes at somewhat of a low point where we suddenly are too far in to quit, but there's still so much work ahead of us to get to the end of the journey. And there's just this overwhelm and this feeling of, I don't know, like insecurity or feeling incapable of follow through in this, but you've got perseverance. So I feel like you have the follow through, but you're just like, why am I doing this journey? I don't know what else I have in me. So there's a low point that comes, and it's necessary for that low point to come. Maybe you've fallen prey to some of this enemy stuff, like oppositional forces, or just life circumstances have gotten you worried and wound up, and you're like, wow, I don't know how I'm gonna switch into optimism and relaxation, because I keep trying to, but I keep ending up further down that hole. And it's this challenge exact thing that actually has to happen for you to pull out resources within you that have always been there, but you've never gone deep enough to access. And so this is a time when your intuition, when insight and inner work and inner faith and channeling what is the deepest aspect of self that you can connect to right now. You unleash a resource that you've never seen before, but has always been there for you. And it pulls you out of that hole. And for you, it's precognition, psychic ability, and future vision. And so this is so connected to the whole concept of this reading, that there's a new hope and a new vision. And for you, it is connected, I think, to a literal psychic witnessing and a literal future vision. You may not have taken it as seriously when you've felt it initially, but you have seen the future, and it's a literal future. And so you have to remember, like, go back to that feeling you have for whatever you connected in this reading as representing this star, new hope, new vision, whatever that is to you. And I would put some effort into really identifying what this is. You need to connect back to it at your low point in this journey, and recognize that it's more real than it is just a new hope. It was something you actually saw from your actual future. And you can practice this at this point by doing little things like something, what can I see that's going to happen this afternoon, and predicting something, or seeing something in your future and making it happen, that's easy, that can happen in a day or two. Just like little by little, seeing that ability you have and how real it is, and developing the access to it that is already strongly within you. Okay, so the last cards in this oracle spread are sort of about a final challenge that comes once you've kind of had some successes with this and really feel a strong point with it. We come up to a last really severe challenge that challenges our ego directly, and we have to go through an ego death to have a death and rebirth, and sort of like what's called the resurrection point in the journey, where we get reborn as our new selves, as having mastered what we came into this journey to master. So the challenge coming through for you is the Seeker. And this card is directly about going on a journey. But specifically what it talks about is that to really expand and deepen our soul, these journeys are necessary because they help us to face the darks and lights of life, but specifically the darks of life. And they give us tools to know how to face dark areas within us, dark areas of life, and know how to confront them, how to be around these, what to do with them. We develop a certain resilience, specifically of trusting ourselves and knowing ourselves enough to know how to work with darkness appropriately for our soul. So I think there's some dark qualities within the journey that you're going to really have to learn tools around how to perceive them, see them, work with them, and integrate yourself with all of your dark and all of your light to be the beautiful seeker that you are, with a depth of wisdom. And I think the dark aspects that you might get some insight into are having, just because I'm seeing with the theme of this journey, I think you've had a lot of personal control over your own circumstances in life. And when we kind of let go, we have to start compromising. When we let life be easier for us, that also comes with more compromises and cooperation with others, because we're sort of handing over a little bit of control off of our plate. And so I think for you, I'm sure each of you have a lot of all sorts of, your own particular shadows and darknesses and things you'll learn about. But I think commonly a lot of you are going to come up around this thing of control, control of your own life, and how to loosen the reins a little bit, and some shadow and darkness around confronting that a bit, which actually leads so perfectly into the resurrection that you'll experience at the end of this journey. There's so much power and manifestation here, but it takes a village. And allowing the village in, allowing others to do some of the work, allowing exchanges to take place where you have to, be a little bit compromising and cooperative, and let go of control of things you have to exchange upon, and let other people use them how they want because they've exchanged for them. But by doing this, you resurrect, you're reborn into a person that knows how the village works with compromise, how the village works by helping each other, how life can be easier, not just for you, but for everyone, when everyone sort of does their part and everyone helps each other out, and there's a real sense of tribe and community and a spirit of, just like with that elephant energy, I think you're building a village of elephants in your life that have strength, that have nurturance and willingness to knock anything, a whole field of obstacles down for you. But letting people do that, letting the village, letting everyone do their job, and being part of a village. You've kind of been a village of one, I think, for a while. And it's time to be part of a village that puts in all sorts of work that makes it easier for everybody in some ways, and specifically for you in ways your soul's been calling to. A village that values pleasure and ease, a village that values relaxation and healthy nervous systems, and that also values a certain perseverance that does manifest things in life, because you honor the beauty of manifestation and seeing things through, and having optimism and trusting that the future should be bright. So it's like really positive, it's like your rebirth, your resurrection is really about a whole new ecosystem in terms of what your tribe is and who's around you. I really feel like that value all the things that you've never felt you deserved or that you could have for some reason. Yeah, which is nurturance, calmness, relaxation, but also valuing of the beauty of the material, and that it's not that hard to manifest, that it's easy when you have optimism and a willingness to put in the perseverance at the moments needed, an ability to trust in the future because you've already seen it, and an ability to face any sort of darknesses because you've already integrated them within you, so you know exactly how to work with them. Okay, we are also going to pick some tarot cards, and actually for you guys I'm going to have to move these cards up because your transparent tarots need a white surface under them, so I can't lay them on top. So sorry, some of your cards are covered. But we're just going to get a few little extra details, more specific little nuances about this journey, anything Spirit wants to bring through, or that your psychic future vision wants you to see right now. That's what I'm going to do for this pile, actually. I'm going to connect into your future vision, your psychic ability. What do you see? Okay. Oh, I think I'm doing these upside down. So 2 of Pentacles. Yeah. 7 of Swords. 9 of Cups. 8 of Wands. I have to move these too. Yikes. These cards are so slippery. Let's see, I need 2 more. 6 of Swords. High Priestess. Okay. Let's see. Oh, we need to get more of these in. Sorry, I wasn't looking at the monitor. Let's see if we can mostly get that in. Okay. So, yeah, a balance, especially materially and physically, a balance is really needing to be sought in this journey. What do you need to hold, and what can you allow others to hold? Where is your balance point physically, literally physically? What balance do you need to live within a calm nervous system? What can you reasonably hold right now that feels good, that feels balanced, that feels right to the amount of stress and worry that you want to hold? And this 7 of Swords, you're really going to have to, I think, turn your back on what has been normalized in your life, especially around certain groups you've identified with, whether that's friendships or industries or just types of people you've identified with or types of groups you've identified with. You need to find your own norms and find your own values and thoughts that there's something, and I think this is you're gonna know specifically, each of you for yourself, what this means. But there's some group orientation that has kind of kept you trapped in this idea of needing to live in a certain stress of perseverance and stress of productivity that, it's time to turn away from and find a different way. And it literally could be as big as capitalism. I don't know. That's so broad, but there's something about your culture, that some kind of culture you're within, and it could be much smaller than capitalism. It could be the religion you're in, or your family culture, or the friend groups you associate with, or the industry you're in. There's something that has a lot to do with your current nervous system and access to ease and relaxation that you need to step away from and find your own norms, break out of those and find your own norms. And I love all of the cards coming after this are so beautiful. So wish fulfillment is coming through here. So really, really tap into that future vision, the star and your precognition priestess, your psychic ability. What do you truly wish for? The Sunstone. What kind of pleasure, what kind of calmness? What does that mean to you? What do calm nerves mean to you? What does relaxation mean to you? What does ease mean to you? And what those words, the way you're defining them for you, shouldn't stress you out. They should feel like your vision, like your accurate vision. Where's that card? It's buried. Yeah, define these for yourselves, and they should feel right. They should feel like your vision that you hold in the very core of you, in a very knowing place, in a very solid place. Yeah, so define for you, what does pleasure mean, what does relaxation mean, and what does ease mean? Okay, and a wish fulfillment, as you define those, will come in around this. Things are falling into places. As soon as you identify this wish and recognize what it is you need to turn away from, that some sort of culture has you wound up in, as soon as you move from that, define what your wish would be, your deepest wish would be, everything falls into place rapidly. You start seeing the potential and the openings and the opportunities and the allies of your elephants coming into clear paths. It happens very rapidly, and it takes you from shores of a choppy water into completely different shores that feel more aligned to you, that look, this person is relaxing, letting the boat take it somewhere instead of rowing the boat. You're being taken to calm waters where things work for you, where you feel much more at home and much more calm. You're putting down the swords. Here you're kind of like sneaking away with the swords because you're needing to sneak away in the night or something from being trapped in a certain way of being. And here you're able to put the swords down, sit, and be rowed to somewhere much more calm. And you drop in at the very end of this into a command with your precognition, with your trust in knowing how to manifest what you see in your future visions. You've done it now, so you know you have this confidence of your inner knowings. You have a confidence and command of your intuitions, of your psychic ability, of your ability to see future, and you start developing tools and practices that are very relaxed and easy, but that you deepen, you take time to revel in and enjoy and seek pleasure in. I think that's what you're having time to find. Some of this pleasure you're finding is this time to really develop this other side of you that's very psychic, that knows how to use future vision to manifest in a very easy, calm, confident way. Okay, I wanted to combine some of these cards to see what else sort of different dimensions come out. Yeah, I love this. So I feel like this is a mind. I mean, it's the swords, so obviously it's the mind, but something in your mind. This is a mental construct you're needing to walk away from, and it might need to feel like you're sneaking away from it, which is fine, but you need to be away from a certain mental construct that's held by others you're associated with. Because grounded in doing that is a certain balance and wish fulfillment coming through. Look how aligned directly your wish fulfillment is so completely 100% directly related to you knowing what your balance is, knowing what your appropriate, calm, relaxed balance is. What do you want your balance to be? And then, oh yeah, I love this. It's sort of like you can write down your predictions, and within a moon cycle, got the moon there, you will slowly be able to move toward those predictions, and the moment you get some calm momentum, you take off. And that's with all sorts of manifestations. This is like the future. After your kind of resurrection moment of knowing how to do this again and again and again, yeah, you're developing through this journey, yeah, this ability to use your future sight to, within a moon cycle, find small movement and then launch, take off for whatever you want to manifest. You're becoming a master manifester through this ability, this psychic ability, and knowing how to stay in a calmness and a relaxedness and a sense of pleasure in life. So beautiful. Okay, last card for you guys. Whoops. We are going to use our plant allies to gift us with one. A plant is going to gift us with a message about what kinds of patterns will show up on this journey if we are in balance, which specifically is so important for you guys because there's something so potent and central about balance in your journey. So yeah, a plant is giving us a message about the patterns that will show up when we are balanced and patterns that will show up when we are out of balance within this journey. Card wanted to come out. Okay, so verbena is what you guys have, and patterns of balance are ability to practice moderation, tolerance, and balance, the middle way, passionate and embodied idealism. And I feel like that the middle way, passionate and embodied idealism is that feeling that vitality and that energy when you are aligned to what your vision is versus, well, let's see what this says. When you're out of balance, patterns that will appear are overbearing or insistent behavior regarding one's beliefs. And I definitely feel that, like, overbearing, what I said about like letting go of some control maybe. Intensity bordering on fanaticism. Again, I feel that's so connected to having like a certain, coming from a phase where you've had full control over your life and being in high productivity, harvesting mode. It's like, when you're wrapping something up and you're wound up, trying to finish something. Yeah, there's an intensity that comes with that. And then nervous exhaustion from over striving, exactly. So watching that perseverance, that it's leading you towards pleasure and balance and not towards over striving and exhaustion. So exhaustion is always going to be a sign for you that you're over reaching for something that's not your vision, that you're letting energy vampires get the best of you, or that you're wound up with your sympathetic nervous system and you're not figuring out how to get more and more into your sympathetic nervous system, and and healthy. Of course, we all have, we need both of them, but there's like a different balance that you're needing to spend a little bit more time in your sympathetic or parasympathetic nervous system. So yeah, so there you go. Beautiful reading, you guys. Beautiful journey. Sorry it sort of ended up in a mess here. But that is where I'm going to leave you. If this reading resonated for you guys, the easiest way you can support me is a thumbs up. That really helps my channel. And of course, I love to kind of browse through comments when I can. I'm not the best at looking at the back end stuff, but I like to, I remember to browse maybe once a week at those, and I do enjoy them. And of course, if you are not subscribed, please do so I can give you more readings. All right, see you guys. Hello, pile 5, last pile. Welcome to your reading. This is all about a new future vision and hope that is coming through right now. So we're going to look at that a little bit, and I'm going to ask that you identify what it is for you, because it's going to be different for everybody. And then based on that, we're going to look at what kind of journey, because this is sort of like this new future vision is sort of like a seed that is going to spark a new journey into process. So we're going to spend the majority of the reading looking at this journey sort of in the way you might look at a bit of a hero's journey. It's not completely mapped the same way, the way I've done it, but similar. Okay, so looking at the deck you chose and the crystal matched with it. So the Orien's Animal Tarot is your star, and this one has a compass on it and a jellyfish. So what's coming through for me is that you maybe are a little bit of a floating a little bit right now, like you feel just maybe a general sense of hope coming and direction coming, but it's still wishy-washy. But what you can hold on to is that it feels nice. Something feels good, something feels relaxing, something feels peaceful. And that sensation is what you can use as your compass right now, since you can't quite see past that step. And the crystal matched here, the clear crystal quartz, is asking that you give yourself plenty of space in your mind and time around you to anchor into some meditation, some, even doing some spring cleaning, whatever you need to do to clear clutter, clear space, clear time. This is what's really going to help you to identify where it is you're going and what you're doing, instead of just chasing this sense of peacefulness. Even though that is the core thing that is meant to be found with this new vision, spirit and your soul are wanting you to find a little more clarity about it. And picking the animal deck, it's really going to be a beautiful time through this journey to pay attention to the animals, both that live within your house and out in the wild. They can really be messengers from spirit, as well as mirrors of what's really going on inside of us. So they mirror to us and bring to us a lot of really powerful messages, and when we pay really strong attention to them, they tend to line up with really profound and important synchronicities. So that's something specific to this pile, and you guys, is really paying attention to how the animal kingdom is trying to get your attention, what it's trying to communicate, if it's mirroring things from within you or bringing you messages from another realm. Okay, so diving into this journey, the sense of peacefulness that you're chasing as a new vision for your life. We're going to start with these two cards, and these are indicating something about the overarching theme of this journey. So if you were to go through this whole journey and then watch it as like a movie afterwards, these would show the overall theme you might use to describe what the movie or what this journey was about. So was it about redemption? Was it about coming of age? Was it about overcoming a challenge, you know? So for me, what I'm seeing here is, again, this is so tied back to this sense of calm and peace coming through. There's something your soul, because this card has the soul and passion. I think there's something very passionate within your soul that is envisioning, you see the eye here, that's envisioning something, more that pile 4 was similar to this. I feel like you're going to go in a slightly different direction, but I think for both of your journeys, you're seeking a little bit more ease in your life, maybe. So this journey is going to take you through something that's going to connect you to what it is and why your soul is looking for you to be passionate about a more relaxed existence and a more, there's all these beautiful stars and butterflies and, waterfall coming out of this eye, and the eye looks like, it's like a mirror of the earth. So it's like a deeper, your soul being much more deeply connected to being present to the magic that is all around us, that we live in every day and we don't take the time to witness and see and feel. And there's something about that I think brings in a deep relaxation and purpose and illumination. This picture, she's in a hammock against the moon, so there's like a nocturnal thing going on here, and a yin, the soul also with the yin quality of the moon, some turning towards soul, and that might indicate something about this jellyfish thing and just this seeking of calm. I think there's some more inner terrain you're really exploring about what it is to have a peaceful existence. What does peacefulness mean in your life, and what feels passionate to your soul about that? And I think in these next cards, we're going to get a little bit of insight about this theme in this journey. So these two cards are showing what is the inciting incident, the central conflict that pushes you onto the path of this journey. So we know there was the seed of this star, of this chasing of a sense of peacefulness, but what is the event that kind of pushes that onto the path of a journey with its ups and downs and, obstacles and gifts and whatever, all sorts of wild, crazy things to come. So what I'm feeling here, what's coming through is that, we have this person inside the heart of a mountain, and then the card also connected to this is the hidden. And so I think that you are someone who has already potentially achieved big things in the outer world. You've reached your peaks where you've had good views and had good vision of where to go next and your clarity. But something about you is like, this time around, I'm going to reach that peak, and I'm not just going to choose the next peak to go into. I need to understand what this peak is about, what it's made of. I need to go into the hidden realms of this peak in order to see what gems and minerals and construction I'm standing upon, because I've never taken the time to do that. I just go from peak to peak and I exhaust myself and I get certain rewards from it, but I never really, it's always the same cycle over and over, and there's something different coming through where you decide if you slow down and you don't pick a next peak yet once you reach a certain peak, and you just dive into the inner depths of this and find, what are the hidden realms of this peak? What is it standing on? What is it made of? And this is an indication, this is a soul journey. So you're going within. Why did I climb this peak? What was it made of that was so enticing to me? And what are the hidden gems that lie within this that before I've never taken the time to mine, but actually hold the most profound bounty and reward that there is. So instead of rushing on, it's like you're taking a sabbatical from the next peak, and you're going within, you're finding the actual true rewards rather than the outside world rewards of having reached some height in life. You're going to relax on this peak. You're going to take time to explore it, go into its depths, to mine it, to see inwardly what you've really never connected to, lacked a connection with in terms of reaching the heights you are able to reach in life. Like what are you missing? Because you're missing something. And I think you're already on the top of some peak right now, and you're like, something's happened. Some inciting incident has happened on that top of that peak where you have been made aware of, or suddenly had an insight and an aha moment of like, oh wow, I've completely missed the point of reaching the peak of things. There's a whole world that I could spend the rest of my life just mining and exploring on this one peak instead of moving on. Okay, so enough on that. Moving down to this bottom row are some more of the specific steps within sort of a journey, or at least the journey I've designed. So typically pretty early on in a new journey, we meet some sort of spiritual guide that has wisdom or insight or tools to offer us about the path ahead that we're going to need to have or know. And you've got Aphrodite, and I love this inner goddess. I think that you're coming from being like Athena or something, where you've been very intelligent and connected to the rulers, or a ruler yourself, and strategic, and a real warrior queen, to being like, wow, why have I never taken the time to revel in the things that I'm able to scale, the heights I'm able to go to? I need to shift out of Athena right now and move into Aphrodite and feel this. I need to dance it. I need to adorn myself in it, relax in it, and feel what my soul has to say about why I'm here and what's inside of this ascension that I've found. I need to slow down with it. I need to, I keep wanting to say I need to dance this for whatever reason. So some of you that might connect in a certain way for some of you. Okay, so, and what she says here is awaken the goddess within you through dance, self-care, and appreciating your divinity, right? So moving from that Athena, that's such a mental realm, or even like a Zeus or something, of conquering. And this new, this journey is coming along to help you to feel something spiritual about this journey, the divinity of something you've connected to, of your ability to scale great heights. What is the spirituality of this and the soul of it? And how can I slow down and care for myself while doing this, or being here, or being at the top? How can I luxuriate in this a little bit instead of moving on to the next thing I need to conquer, you know? Yeah, actually this reading is coming out much different than pile 4, even though at the core you're both looking for like a more peaceful something, but you're very different people. Okay, so moving on to the next 2 cards, we have the allies and enemies. And of course, if you're watching like a movie or reading a novel, those tend to get sort of amplified into a much more extreme than we would typically experience in our lives. So I want to be a little bit more realistic about these, but still make the point, you know, exaggerate a little bit. So allies that are coming through here, so peers, friendships, family, whoever really you feel want to support you and help you on this journey. So these aren't necessarily, sometimes allies are enemies can be disguised as allies. So there's some discernment to be made here. Some people may present as allies, but the way to tell if they're allies for this journey is if they are supportive, helpful, lift you up in terms of what this journey is to you, in terms of this inner work, this spiritual work, this feeling into something about peacefulness and calm within you. And these allies are going to show up as people who want to help you confront what it is you're blocked from in this regard, who want to help you slow down, who want to help you get in touch with the depth of something about yourself and about the ability you have to ascend in life and your conquering nature. They want you to turn your conquering nature towards confrontation, anything that, not confrontation, but anything that needs to be confronted within you and in your path that's blocking you from discovering how to relax into your life a little bit more and pull out your Aphrodite when you need to, and spend time with a different side of yourself, a more feminine, more soft, tender, soulful, relaxed, peaceful side of yourself. So your allies are going to confront and help you, are going to help you to confront things in your life that are opposed to that, as well as confront things within yourself that block you from doing this. So the oppositional forces that will show up, so these may not be like literal enemies, but kind of the oppositional forces you feel, whether that's circumstantial, people, groups, will have kind of a damsel quality, but the shadow attribute of it. So waiting for a knight to provide for you, seduction by a romantic illusion. So, this is actually an interesting one for you guys. I'm going to read the light attribute too. I wonder, because damsel isn't really a positive archetype, so maybe the light one connects too. So understanding the nature of healthy romance inspires you to rely on yourself. Waiting for a knight to provide for you, seduction by romantic illusion. So, well, what I'm seeing here actually, and I don't think this has to necessarily for most of you have to do with romantic partners, but I think because, but it might for many of you. Where the opposition is going to come from is I think your assertiveness, your ability to scale heights, your ability to conquer things in life and probably do materially well has cultivated certain expectations of people in your life, well, whether it's romantic partners, family members, employees, whatever it is, there's certain expectations that have been set up by people in your lives of their comfort being tied to your success. And I think that as you pull away from continuing to scale, and I'm not saying that you won't do that again, but like right now on this journey, for the moment, you're needing to focus on you and your soul and a more spiritual thing. But I think there's going to be people that are upset by that because it affects their own comfort and expectations they have of you to provide in their life. And so you need to figure out how to break those expectations in ways of showing that you need to, for those that can't understand the nature of health, figuring out how to, I'm trying to find my words and I'm just stumbling over them, I'm sorry. You can help these people that are a little bit maybe too reliant on you. You can inspire them how to rely on themselves, and that's helping them. That's helping them to grow. And the ones that are really combative about this, you have a support system around you that will go at this, that will support, confront this for you if you need to still be kind of like removed. But anyone who fights against learning how to rely more on themselves and is frustrated by the path you're on due to how it affects their comfort, just no. Just a big no there. But some people, you may help them go on their own growing journey, and there might be people around you that really need a kick in the pants in order to evolve their path in life. And you might inspire them by cutting them off a little bit to rely on themselves, learn how to be more independent, which is always, learning some self-sufficiency and worldly skills is always a positive thing. It always helps somebody grow. So, I mean, if this doesn't have to do with resources and people relying on you, it could just be something about your path of like really doing some spirit and soul work that's frustrating, the connection that you've had previously, and they're not accepting of this new path. That's going to be an oppositional force that you're going to need to see with new eyes and really see, who does support your soul growth and who can't do that for you. So, okay, moving on. Spend a lot of time on that. Moving on to this card is representative of what I call, what in the hero's journey is called the belly of the whale. And I liked this. I wanted to bring this point of the journey up because I feel like it's a really, really pivotal turning point in a journey, because it's about the halfway point. And it's where we're too far in to turn back on a journey, but we still have a long ways to go. And so it brings this feeling of a low point of, you know, that sensation of a bit of insecurity and overwhelm, and like, I don't think I can do, you know, like a panic, but an inability to turn back now because your soul is invested in this at this point. But it's a really, really beautiful and important point to hit, even though it's such a challenge, because it makes us dig deep. It makes us pull out a resource that is already within us that we've just never gone deep enough to access yet. And for you, there is something about friendship going on here. Maybe because you've been someone who has your eye on the prize, skills is in your mind, that you've had sort of maybe like an isolated, somewhat of an isolated existence in a way, sort of like it's lonely at the top type of thing. And this slowing down and this relaxing and this moving into soul and spiritual territory is really opening up something within you as you reach further and further down of like, how am I going to continue on this? That you sort of open up into this new quality of wanting connection and friendship and support and understanding the beauty of that, and the beauty of being part of the group, part of the underlings. It doesn't have to be the underlings, but you know, the community, the people, and the support and the fun and the unity and the play that comes with that. So it's really funny to me because some people, this would seem like, well, that's not a, you know, well, that's great, that's not a problem. But for you, I think this might sound scary at this moment. Opening up to friendship might be something you've not been interested in or known how quite to do that, but you really pull this out of yourself in such a beautiful new way on this journey, because that is what's going to keep you going, and your soul is committed to continuing on this path. Okay, so these last cards here, I wanted to kind of skip to the end of the journey, because after this card, you sort of have some successes centered around this and some beautiful things happen and sort of feeling your oats with it. And then you move into, there's always like a really pivotal, final, ultimate challenge here that makes you really confront and break open your ego. So it's a challenge that really forces an ego death. And you have a death and rebirth, or a resurrection, that happens. So the pivotal apex challenge and the resurrection into the master of this journey, the new you that's mastered this, that's fully stepped into your empowerment of this, what you were needing to develop through this journey. So we've got fire here, and this definitely has something to do with ego. And it has something to do with, I mean, there's a lot of things you could say about fire, but what I'm feeling coming through here is sort of an aggression that you have potentially within you, but I think it gets directed back toward you in an ending stage of this journey, when you've come into a new sort of friendliness, soulfulness. It's like right when you feel like you're sinking into getting this more relaxed, tender, beautiful, friendly, goddessy sort of reveling in some accomplishment, some aggression comes at you that would normally spark your aggressive nature and competitiveness in response, your fiery, passionate self, and it's going to challenge that aspect of you. But what's going to happen is you're going to need to dig deep and recognize that you have cultivated a certain patience, and you're going to be able to step back from that aggression, that fire coming at you, right when you're relaxed into this passionate soul energy. And you're going to see this aggression as finally what it should be seen as. Instead of you inciting a reaction from you, it incites a response from you. And a response takes patience, and it takes really understanding that things that come at you are not about you. They're about whatever that thing that's coming at you is. It has nothing to do with you. And you suddenly, it's like takes everything within you to recognize your reactionary nature coming up and your need to sort of win with ego. Maybe it's like, maybe that reactionary quality, that fiery quality is a need for ego to win certain things. But you're going to, by the end of this, and you may have a few trip ups with it, but it will keep coming back until you learn how to respond versus react. And once you get that patience that's needed with it, that understanding that it's not about you, and that willingness to drop ego to live a little bit more in spirit and soul in this moment. That is the moment that you hit and I want this to, it may sound negative initially, but dead ends are amazing. You hit a dead end like immediately as soon as you get this. But that dead end is a beginning. It's just, it's like you've learned something so ultimately and so completely that there's the best way to continue to progress in your life is to start a completely different, new, wonderful journey. So there's something you're really, I think, getting in such a profound way about ego at the end of this journey and about patience. And it opens up a whole new set of doors to a totally different desire, a totally different you that is so much more alive, that gets that has so much more merging about understanding where your aim is and what your soul needs from that aim. So where your logic and mind and ego desires are going, but how to stay aligned within that to soul and tenderness and nurturing and the people involved and a peacefulness within this. How to find a clear, you really, what initially started as like this not so clear sense of direction, but chasing a sensation, into really understanding what this jellyfish wants and that it has an ultimate direction that is so much higher and profound than you can access at this point. But just this profound, I think, you come to a full dead end with whatever, this overcoming of ego dominance into a balance of soul. And that just completely weaves you into a completely new direction in life that is just filled with peace and beauty and just ease and beauty and peace and softness and magic. I mean, jellyfish are, it's like there's something otherworldly, just a very magical, mystical path that you can't even fathom at this point, I think is where it's going. Okay, so we are going to do just a few tarot cards hold on. Okay, just a few tarot cards to see a little bit more, like just little details about this journey that are more, well, I don't know, just little gifts of information from spirit that want to come through about this. Yeah, temperance for sure. Love that. Knight of Cups. I love, love, love. The Fool. Beautiful. Ten of Swords. Okay. Knight of Swords. And last, Ten of Cups. Oh, that's a beautiful one to end on with what I've already said. Okay, so temperance. Yes, I think that you're really learning on this journey of like really finding a new balance of soul against some ego. You're really learning a certain new quality of resilience and how to find a more moderate way of being that creates a more flourishing existence overall. And then the Knight of Cups, you're trying to expand and explore into a more poetic sense of yourself, but there's a sense of adventure around it. And the Fool showing up definitely indicates that this is like a very new type of thing that you would never have imagined yourself going on a journey with, but there is an impulse with it that you can't resist, sort of like a lightning charging through you that like, yeah, there's no stopping it, kind of, there's an electricity around this for you. And then Ten of Swords, I think you've reached this point of a certain amount of exhaustion and burnout. And this is why you are finally kind of willing to dive into a very different world. But I think there is also some fear around it, around turning inward. But whether it's health reasons, mental health reasons, or just a general exhaustion or some losses of certain things in your lives due to the way you've been living, it's sort of like, you've come to, it's like you've hit a wall and there's no other way to go forward but to go inward and look within to the hidden aspects of the heights you've scaled and connect your soul to it and mine the deeper, more rich treasures within about it. You've got the Knight of Swords here, which means that, I think you're doing some rewiring of your mental pathways, and you just need to keep connected to a sense of adventure with that instead of a sense of burnout about it. I think because two knights have shown up for you, I think you're good at adventure, at pushing your boundaries, at trying to expand certain things in your life. So keeping your mind focused on the fact that this is an adventure that is rewiring pathways in your brain that will be so much healthier and calm and elegant. I guess that's the word I want to say. That will be so much more elegant. That will generate a more elegant expression of who you are. And then ending this, just like I said, the dead end comes once you really get what's going on here and find that balance, that temperance between ego and soul. And that dead end just directly shooting you into a completely different kind of existence with shooting into something just mysterious and cosmic and beautiful, otherworldly. There's so much richness on that new opening that comes to you due to this dead end that comes. So the dead end is an indication of just like a whole new beautiful opening. And it's blessed with this 10 of Cups that is rich with community, rich with love, rich with soul, rich with heart, rich with all sorts of support, both worldly and mystical, and just a complete master and connection to composing life from within, from without, from above, from below, from all directions. It's just like a master of what's going to happen here is the way you're going to develop this other side of you that you've really had no interest in doing. It's completely turning you into a maestro, but not one in the way you would think of right now in terms of conquering things. A maestro in terms of building just a beautiful, flourishing environment and existence that just is capable of really creating so much harmony in the world and around you and within you. So gorgeous. Okay, we are going to do one last oracle card, and this is from our friends in the plant kingdom. So a plant that's going to come through, and it will give you wisdom, some guidance around patterns that will show up on this journey for you when you are working it in a balanced way, and patterns that will show up for you when you are working it through, not in a way that's not balanced. Okay, so Sanctuary is the plant that came through. So when you're in balance, the patterns are serving others from inner strength while nourishing one's own needs, acting from strength of inner purpose, saying no when appropriate. I think that is already like a really succinctly distills a lot that I've rambled on about. And then patterns that will show up when you're not in balance: weak-willed, dominated by others. So yeah, really watch for that damsel kind of thing. Servile, acting to please. So that's kind of an ego thing. Difficulty saying no. Fatigue and related problems due to self-neglect. And so that, like you're just, if you're continuing to chase after certain heights without mining them and going within with the soul, there will be some fatigue that will show up. So that will be a sign that you're needing to kind of slow it down and push back to the inward places. So, all right, beautiful journey, you guys. I'm really excited for you. Especially that ending, it's definitely, none of these are journeys come with their challenges as well as their gifts. So not easy for any pile, but filled with magic, filled with beauty, and the end, that resurrection and the whole new, completely different path that comes through. It's just like, I'm so excited for that for you guys. All right, this is where I'm going to leave you. Definitely appreciate the thumbs up if the reading resonated. That helps my channel for sure. And I also love reading comments. I'm not the best at getting to those, but I do try to read them about once a week, and I do so much enjoy hearing what you guys say. And of course, if you are not subscribed yet, I would love it if you would do so I can give you more readings. All right, see you guys.